Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados, live right here on Think Critical YouTube. Your Saturday morning delight. We've got a big DC week. We got the end of Absolute Power. We've got the beginning of DC All In. We've already got the trade press on Batman and the other titles out this week. So it's mostly going to be a DC week. We're even going to talk about our favorite Justice League books now that the Justice League have officially returned to DC Comics. And we are missing Aaron, Sparrow, and Jim. I'm not expecting Jim today, but hopefully Aaron shows up at some point. But in the meantime, we're going to have fun with our favorite geek friends out there. We got returning to the channel, my fellow Missourian, Nandor Fox Shaffer. And we've got, what is it, Man-Child #3 live and kicking on Kickstarter?
That's right, guys. We got issue 3 is live on Kickstarter. We just launched Monday, so it's been live for about 5 days now, and we're back. And if you guys like Silver Age superhero storytelling, this book is for you. And we have Steve Epting working on this book, so he did a cover. So all you Winter Soldier fans, all you guys who love Steve Epting, he's my favorite, my all-time favorite artist. Loved working with him. Never thought I'd be able to be completely honest. So getting at this point to be able to work with someone like him, like a legend, pretty exciting. I love the cover and I love this issue. So yeah, check it out.
So when you reached out to Steve, obviously you're not expecting a reply.
Oh yeah, no, it was a shot in the dark. It was such a shot in the dark. I crafted my email well, I think, and I think I pitched myself well, and I sent him the first 2 issues as PDFs of Man-Child so that he could, check it out. And I sent him all the character designs, and he said he loved the character designs and he loved the story. And he did say he's noticed me online and some of the stuff I've done. So I was like, wow, okay, well this is pretty sweet. So it just all kind of worked out. He was like in between contracts at the time too. It was just like I sent him the email at the right time. So
pretty cool. What you got to do. Got to
put
a bunch of hooks and see who jumps on it. But
exactly.
Congratulations, that's a big get. Steve Epting doing one of your covers. It's the main cover, right?
It's one of the variants actually. Yeah. So and we also have a gatefold cover by one of my favorite indie creators, Ben Morse. Which you don't really see a lot in the indie scene anymore, but it's it'll be like for fans of of X-Men #1, and having that gatefold cover. So that's something that I'm really excited about this issue as well. But man, yeah, it's like I keep it's exciting working with Steve, and we went back and forth and did a lot of great he had a lot of great notes and all that, and it's exciting seeing the cover, but I just can't even imagine holding it in my hands when that day finally comes. It's going to be something else. When I saw his classic Epting signature on the book, that's when I was like, wow, like we're here, we made it, so it's pretty sweet.
Absolutely. And congratulations on that. That's really awesome. There's a link in the video description under the Nandor Fox Shaffer part. It'll say Kickstarter Man-Child #3. You go link on that one, you can see the project and go support it there. And if you have not read Man-Child #1 and 2, you can also get those as well. So you don't have to be left out in the dark.
Yes, you don't have to be. And with the previous issues, I got to work with people like Tony Harris, from Starman. I got to work like Jim Rugg and Tom Riley, who's doing Duke and G.I. Joe and stuff. So there's some other good cover options, and other people I've been able to work with throughout the series. So if you're a fan of superhero comics and what's been coming out in the last 10 to 20 years, you'll recognize some names for those other previous issues where you can get as well.
Very nice. And are you excited? Because it's a big sports day for us people from Missouri. We got the Royals in the playoffs playing the Yankees, our enormous rivals during the 80s. And we've also got a Missouri Tigers game. And then we got the Chiefs on Monday.
That's right. That's right. It's an exciting time. Yes. And I can't believe, I always grew up as more of a Royals fan, maybe because, I love the Cardinals, but there was always something about the Royals that I appreciated, and I loved a lot of their history in baseball. So to finally be able to get to the playoffs after all this time, it's very vindicating. It's like my love my love for them has not gone sour, but it's been a bit hard for the Royals. I think a lot of people kind of forget about them, that we have two baseball teams, because the Cardinals just kind of eclipse and overshadow them. But it's exciting. I'm happy that they're there.
Absolutely. My dad is an enormous Cardinals fan. I'm obviously a Royals fan, so we always have fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Who else is here? We got Dylan, the real comic book gamer, the big DC aficionado himself. This is a big DC week. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing good. Yeah, this was I wish it was a good good DC week. A lot happened, but not a lot good happened for DC this week.
Okay, so you're not feeling all in yet?
No, definitely not.
Right, spoiler.
Yeah.
Very good. But you've also got a big weekend. We'll talk about it later on in the show, but there is a numbered UFC event with a wildly mismatched main event.
Yep. It's,
we got a surefire Hall of Famer against a guy that didn't even win the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, and just popped for steroids like 6 months ago, so he was banned for a little bit.
But that should be fun. I know you're one of the big UFC fans. I used to be a big MMA guy myself back in the days. You got any big videos or streams people need to know about? We got Star Wars Outlaws out there. It sounds like you can't do Assassin's Creed. It's been delayed, but
I just did a video on this All In and Absolute Power ending. So I just did a video on like the current happenings in DC. So if anyone's watching wants to know what's going on, you can check that out.
Very nice. Are you playing Arkham Asylum or something?
I'm pretty much always playing Arkham Knight because there's people are always releasing new mods for that game. It's crazy what people are adding to that game. Like the things people are adding are insane. There's also a lot of horny people adding things to that game that are things that I try to stay away from. But there's a lot of, if you go to the mod page, and
what did you do to spoil?
I nothing to spoil her. She's not in that game yet, but there's a lot of
not yet,
look
right?
at the mod page. There's a lot of weird stuff in that game. But
very
yeah,
nice.
It's fun.
Yeah, I remember when the Arkham like Asylum trilogy kind of came out, and that was all anybody could talk about for like 8 years.
Yeah,
still all anyone talks about because it's the only good superhero games we have. We have like the Sony Spider-Man games, which are okay, but the Arkham games are so much better. At least,
yeah, and Rocksteady really dropped the ball with Suicide Squad. I mean,
well, everyone that was talented in that studio left. It's like just Rocksteady in name only. Like all the people, like Sefton Hill, the main like director of it, left. A bunch of the other talented devs left. It's all like just a bunch of people that didn't work on the prior games that are now in Rocksteady. So it's sad. But yeah,
sounds like DC Comics the last 2 years.
Sounds like pretty much.
The mass exodus. Yeah.
It always sucks when you go through that transition, but you always have to go through it. I remember in wrestling, like all the major players, that made WWF popular just left in 6 months, and it was just dead for 2 years as they were trying to develop whatever their new stars were going to be. And obviously end up getting Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H, and they were bigger than they ever were before. But you do have to go through the bad period once people like age out and find other projects to move on to.
Yeah, hopefully Rocksteady finds their way again.
I wouldn't count on it. Doesn't sound like that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Who else? We got Rev Sully wearing sunglasses indoors.
Yes, it's a beautiful October day here in Boston, Massachusetts, the hub of the multiverse. How y'all doing? How's everyone doing today? Hello to everyone in the chat, the best chat in the world. And we congregate here on Saturdays and talk about funny books. It's a great way to spend some time with like-minded people. This is great. I love my hobby.
Did you notice this week that everyone, I guess they were like, well, it's Absolute Power 4. It's DC All-In Special. Yeah. Let's just vacate this week and leave it to DC. To where there was only like 6 maybe Image books that came out.
Yeah, but
there were some Marvel books, but other than maybe Storm and maybe that Star Wars book, if you want to call that important, they basically released nothing.
I'm going to disagree with Dylan right off the bat. I think DC had a stronger week. But that I have my own tastes. I mean, Poison Ivy 26 was pretty good. We spoke about Batman 153 in the green room, and you kind of like clued me into like what's going on there. But I thought it was a strong single issue, great art. And what else DC came up? Birds of Prey 14 wasn't all that bad. and it had that same old Kelly Thompson fight scene. You know, there's Batgirl walking through a room, and there's after images and clearing the room. So that's her thing. That's her style. It's a Kelly Thompson book. But
so you're arguing for DC having a strong week by saying one of their books wasn't all that bad?
Yeah, dude, it's better than Fire and Ice, like Welcome to Smallville. Man, we didn't have one of those this week.
You read Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, correct?
Yes.
I personally remember reading his Daredevil. Like, you get to a spot in the run where he and Tony Stark have this conversation on a rooftop, and basically from that moment on, the series dies. Because it's just like Chip Zdarsky like doing commentary on social issues. To me, this is that issue for Batman. It's Batman and Gordon sitting on the rooftop talking about the same shit that Tony Stark and Daredevil were. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah. Why that's the thing that like early on with his Daredevil run, I remember thinking like he could probably do some cool stuff with Batman because his Daredevil was really good, and then he got to it, and we got Failsafe forever, and now apparently this. So that's it. Yeah, I haven't touched his Batman book in like 5 or 6 issues. It's been a little bit since I've gone back and read. And every time, because I'll stay away from it, and then I'll be like, all right, let's see what's going on over there. Then I read a couple issues to try to catch up. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I don't need to catch up. It's not very good.
I feel that Batman,
if you were to come back, this would be the issue to do it. It's clearly a line of demarcation of something different for Batman. Is like even the personality of Bruce Wayne completely changes in this issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in a more normal suit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I like the way that that the Riddler looks. I like the direction of that is very Joel Schumacher movie like. And
that's not an endorsement, man.
Really? Oh, I love that dumb movie. And it was a dumb movie.
Exactly. Having fun here. I do want to say thank you very much and give a shout out to the Comic Mint from Stephen Finkel. Owner of the Comic Mint comes TCM Press. TCM Press will be debuting 3 series at New York Comic Con this year. Silent Nights, a femme fatale espionage story created by Steve Finkel and Thiago Da Silva, written by Dolan Waddick, our own Drew, right here on Think Critical YouTube. Art by Omar Zaldivar and Luis Zavala. Edited by our own Aaron Sparrow as well. We've also got Depths of Valor, a World War II action epic created by Steve Finkel, written by Dolan Waddick, art by Nate Watson and Luis Zavala, edited once again by Aaron Sparrow. And then finally, Unholy Nightmare, a superhero horror story created by Dolan Waddick and Aurelio Mazzara, written by Dolan Waddick, art by Aurelio Mazzara, and edited by Aaron Sparrow. Copies will be limited to 100 total for each title. There will be a limited pre-sale before New York Comic Con. And I have the details for the pre-sale. The pre-sale starts on Monday, October 7th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to go to the Comic Mint and actually be able to get your hands on this, like you won't be at New York Comic Con, but you're very interested, you will need to be there at that time to get in on the pre-sale. Sign up today so you do not miss out on the boldest and bravest new publisher with the boldest creators. And we've got some sample covers here from Depths of Valor and Unholy Nightmare as well. And I can say right now that Drew is in St. Louis, and he will not be doing Best of the Week because they are fulfilling Unholy Nightmare these days, and that will be done this weekend. I think they'll all be shipped out. We've also got the covers for Silent Nights. We've got a little bit of TNA going on there, a little bit of a ScarJo vibe there on the right, huh? No, am I the only one to see ScarJo? I can't.
A little bit of younger ScarJo, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what Tony Stark saw in Iron Man 2. Can I have one of those?
Exactly. What was he thinking? But definitely be on the lookout for TCM Press, especially if you're going to be at New York Comic Con. You can meet Drew, you can meet Aaron Sparrow, you can meet, I think Aurelio might be there. There's going to be a lot of the team are going to be there. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and definitely appreciate those guys for supporting the channel, all that kind of stuff. And I do need to give a big shout out to other people supporting us with Thinking Critical Patreon, having a lot of fun these days. We've got so many wonderful people signing up. This week, we do have Alan returning, the Stellar Knight himself from Cosmo City. We've also got Fibrinator 08, the filibuster himself, the protector of the capital city, and also Alexander Spatial Surfer, protector of the multiverse integrity, also returning to Think Critical Patreon. Really appreciate everyone there. And if you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, there's a link in the video description. You find the tier for you. You can get all the audio files of the video recordings. You get all kinds of podcasts featuring Aaron, Doc, these dogs. You got Jim in there, all kinds of fun exclusive videos. Definitely check that out if you are interested as well. And we do have some peoples in here. What do the people say? Callum Lyle. Clownfish and Friday Night Tights talked about this article about toxic fandom, screw Hollywood, superheroes, Star Wars, and Ghostbusters. Just move the F on.
Indeed.
So, I've seen this article being pushed around a lot. I haven't read it myself. It seems like something that you would have been into, Sully.
I am. So I was very into this article. I push back on this. People don't really bring in, we were just talking about our sports teams and especially our baseball teams. I grew up here in Boston, Massachusetts. Before we started winning in the early 21st century, we practically invented toxic fandom. We did. Red Sox fans, Bruins fans, Patriots fans. I mean, we were bitter. We couldn't win. I mean, Yankees suck was an arena chant for about a decade. I mean, real hate, group thought, vitriol. I mean, real toxic stuff. And so that sports culture of rivalry and giving heat to players, coaches, and owners when they don't perform on the field. I mean, that's kind of like shared here, you know what I mean, in our pop culture fandoms. And to call that toxic, it's just like, I don't think you understand fandom. I think that's a good way to put it. We can correlate sports fans into this because why not? We share similarities.
What the fuck were the Red Sox fans supposed to do when Bucky Dent pulled that shit?
Don't you dare mention his name in front of me there.
I thought you could do it now that you guys
we got over that. Exactly. Yeah, we got over that. Winning the World Series a few times, it really helps with that whole Yankees stupidity. It's in hindsight, it was toxic. It was kind of stupid. I mean, the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins have a huge 100-year-old rivalry. I mean, I've gone to games and I've seen kids get their head cracked open for wearing a Habs shirt at the Garden on game night. I mean, this shit happens. I mean, so the quote unquote toxic fandom of comic books and Star Trek and Star Wars, you're kidding me. You're an oversensitive wallflower. Stay in the hothouse. You know what I mean? Don't come out and play with the rest of us. You can't take the heat.
Absolutely. Nandor, I would say that. Do you want people that are so invested in the property that they're disappointed when you screw it up, or people that are so apathetic to the property that when you screw it up, they don't even notice? Because you're heading towards one, but you have the other right now. I would rather have people at least dialed in and paying attention still.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, there's kind of a fine line between, sometimes people are disappointed because and they get upset because they care a lot, right? They have so much investment in whatever fandom that they're into and what they've invested all their time, energy, and money. I mean, it's only natural to be upset and disappointed. I think the issue is how you voice that anger and that disappointment. You don't take on personal attacks, you don't personally attack people, but you criticize the art, you criticize what you did not like, what did not resonate with you, and then you move on. I think there comes a point where if you keep just talking about the negative things and going over the negative things, talking about how much you've been disappointed in life, and it can become something where that's all you talk about. And maybe it's the case that a lot of what you love is not good anymore, and that's definitely something to talk about. And I think maybe be more solution focused than problem focused. But at the same time, I know what it's like to go into a film, and especially I'm a huge Star Wars fan. The fandom has changed. Star Wars has changed so much, and I know what it's like to be so upset and disappointed. And usually my way of expressing that is not voicing it necessarily, but I just don't buy it anymore. I just kind of don't engage with it anymore. And so that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. I think that's the best way you can show the things that you love, the properties and the studios and all that. That's how you can show if it's resonating with you or not. It's the best way because that's what they're focused on, right? They're all about the numbers. They want to see the money coming in. If the money's not coming in, that's going to be the only way that it'll shift their perspective and the kind of content that they make. And we've seen a little bit of that. I think we've won in some areas, if we want to say, winning and losing in those terms. But I think there's a lot to be said for people who are upset, and it's right to be upset. But it just depends on how you voice it and how you want to approach it. Because otherwise, if you're just kind of being an ass about it, you're not going to get a lot of good faith conversation anymore. So,
yeah, you're not getting that anywhere. Basically, Dion says Ram V's detective run feels like what if Michael Bay wrote a Batman run? Go Bad Boy West on Ram V's acid video. Man, Dylan, if I think if Michael Bay made a Batman run, like we'd be seeing Barbara Gordon like bent over trying to fix an engine every 5 minutes, and Batman would be punching people through walls and all kinds of stuff. It feels like what if Ang Lee made a Batman movie?
Yeah, it feels more, I don't know, drawn out and pretentious, I guess, than Michael Bay.
Boring.
When I think Michael Bay, I think like All-Star Batman and Robin. That feels more Michael Bay. Like that's something like Michael Bay would do. But yeah, this was like, I read like 4 or so issues of it, and it did not feel anything like Michael Bay. It felt very boring, and nothing happened. It was really weird what was going on. Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as Michael Bay's Batman.
It's a Darren Aronofsky Batman.
Yes, Aronofsky's a very good way to describe it. Yeah,
I feel like Ron V would be just like so upset with this comment.
Oh man, I feel like it was Stanley Kubrick's for him, Detective Comics. It was beautiful, it was visual, it was artistic. You know what I mean? It's turned me on to a couple of new artists like Jason Scott Alexander and
Jason Sean Alexander.
Is it Rafale? Stefano Rafale. Yeah, Jason Sean Alexander and Stefano Rafale, of whom did the second half of this week's Star Wars Jakku book, and it wasn't that bad. So I mean, I love Rafale's work. Rafale's work endorsements is it's not that bad.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it.
That's the best.
I didn't mind it. Exactly.
Leonard Kirk was a really strange choice.
It was like a 6.5 out of
story. A 65 out of 100 is like a D-. That sucks. Like you would get in trouble if you came home with a D-.
But you passed.
But you still pass, right?
Yeah, but you would still get grounded.
It's not you respect it. Your mother's gonna throw out all your funny books, kid.
Exactly. I enjoyed going Bad Boy West on Ram V and putting him on Fraud Watch. I thought that was fun. I felt like I was on like Mad. What is it? The Mad Dog in the Morning or something. I wasn't channeling my stupid inner
Mad Dog and the Burrito King here.
Guy, yeah. Sally Akibe. A long time. I don't get Darkseid's motivation in the All-In special. He developed the hunger as a result of Flash blowing up the gateway, or because of the power surge during the Batman tie-in. This is the way I understand it, Dylan, and I hope you can maybe chime in on this. Is that he developed the hunger because when Amanda Waller cut off all the other multiverses so the heroes couldn't travel to them, all of his power that had been dissipated into them to provide them with Darkseid energy returned to him all at once. And he didn't realize how much he had lost over time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought as well. He felt better than he had felt in forever, and he didn't really know what it was, and so that's why he went on his hunt and he figured out. Yeah, it was very convoluted. The Darkseid bit of this was very convoluted in a lot of ways. It was fun when he was wrecking house, but yeah, that his motivation and the way he went about getting what he wanted didn't make a whole lot of sense.
There you go. So yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Every time the multiverse was created, a piece of him was taken away.
Yeah.
It all returned, and he needed to find out why. And I guess ultimately the Spectre is the only person that could provide it. Also from Sally Akibe. Also, what do you guys think about Radiant Black? Now, I know, Dylan, you are the world's biggest Kyle Higgins fan. I read the first issue or two of Radiant Black, and I kind of backed off of that one, and I ended up reading Rogue Sun because I thought that was one of the better books in the Massive Verse, but I haven't stuck around with it. I'm kind of all out of the Massive Verse.
I read the first volume. I picked up the first trade of Radiant Black, and I really liked it, but I haven't gone back to get the others yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I thought it was pretty good, and I thought it was worth checking out if anyone's interested. I liked it. And yeah, I think Kyle Higgins always does solid work.
Did you haven't checked out the rest of the Massive Verse? You were just on the one book?
Yeah, no, I haven't read everything else yet. I think I read like the first issue of No One, but that's
No One? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a weirder one.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good too.
Yeah, I like that. But that's the only other thing I've read from the Massive Verse. I don't think I've read anything else.
Yeah, it's like No One, Radiant Black, Radiant Pink, Rogue Sun, and now they're doing like a Free Agents versus Radiant Black story right now. If you're reading Free Agents with Kurt Busiek and Fabian Nicieza. I think it kicked off this week.
I think people should really pay attention to what Kyle Higgins is building over there. I mean, not a lot of people can do what he's doing, and he's really built something that I think a lot of independent creators can learn from, and how to create his, your own universe. But I feel like he did so much for Power Rangers. He did so much for other companies. For him to kind of take it out on his own and do what he's doing,
do his own thing.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive. When I got to meet him at C2E2 in April, and we talked about it a little bit, and the guy has a lot of vision. He's a really good writer, and what he's doing with Massive Verse is really exciting.
And isn't this
totally
what we're
screwed out of
asking for?
Nightwing?
Yeah, totally screwed.
Sad.
But this is what we're asking for: new properties, new stories, new characters, new worlds. Well done. This is so. I've read a little bit of it. It looks really good. I love the design of the heroes' outfits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The coloring it's almost overboard, but I like how it looks visually. I like the design of the books. I just can't get into it. It's very dense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very nice. And so someone asked, where's Doc? And here's the skinny with Doc. Doc had an appointment today and was going to have to leave early. And I was like, we're talking about DC Comics anyway. Why don't you take the day off? So Doc is not here, but we do have Aaron frickin' Sparrow. Are you kidding me? Comic book superstar editor.
Sorry, guys. I overslept.
It happens.
I woke up and I was like, oh, my alarm hasn't gone off. And then I was like, oh, crap.
We were having a good time without you.
Good morning.
It's good to have you back. How you doing, Aaron? Good week.
I'm doing all right. I went and saw Wild Robot last night, and I highly recommend it. I think everybody should go out and see it. It is the best movie DreamWorks has ever done. It feels like old school Pixar. That's the level that it's at. And then when I knew nothing about it when I went in to see it. And then the credits hit, and it said it was written and directed by Chris Sanders, the creator of Lilo and Stitch and the designer for How to Train Your Dragon. And I was like, oh, no wonder this was good.
Wow,
he knows his stuff. Yeah,
it's good movies. So is that awesome?
Yeah, it's that awesome. It's I would say it's the best movie I've seen this year.
Did you see Joker 2?
No, I will not see Joker 2. I didn't like Joker 1. And what's funny is, so I'm at the concession stand, and because you got to go to the concession stand to buy tickets now, because the movie industry is so bad they no longer have the box office open. So you got to walk in, you go up to the concession stand to buy your tickets. Yeah. So I walk up, and we're getting tickets, and the guy at the concession stand goes, Wild Robot, you'll like this one. And then he goes, have you seen Transformers 1? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, it's good, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, I had a good time with it. And then he goes, don't see Joker 2. It sucks. And I was like, what? And I was like, I didn't really like the first one. And he goes, you definitely won't like this one. And I was like, yeah, no.
Well, very nice. A couple of recommendations out of Aaron. We got Transformers 1 and Wild Robot.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish there was a theater here. I definitely would have seen them.
Now, all we need is a Kill Lock movie, and we'll have like a robot trifecta.
Kill Lock would be great. That's a really good series. Caleb says the Thunderbolts looks like a joke. Do you agree with that sentiment, Aaron?
I do. It's somebody posted a thing and they said, "Oh, look, they made a movie about all of the unsellable Marvel legends." And I looked at it and I was like, "Yeah, those are all the peg warmers. Those are all the ones that like are in Ollie's."
Oh, is that the name of the team? Is it Peg Warmers?
It should be. Yeah, we should start calling it the Peg Warmers.
That would be a great name for a book, Dylan. If you see a book that says Marvel Peg Warmers, would you consider it?
I'd look at the cover.
If it was written by Warren Ellis, I would be in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah.
You know what
Peg
though?
warmers.
Otherwise, I wouldn't look at any book by Marvel or DC that has the word peg in it.
I know it could be anything. That'd be fun. And Sally Akibe says, "How crazy would it be if Khalil Roundtree won, Dylan?
That'd be
You'd real
crazy.
crazy.
But this is the type of thing that happens. Like,
It
this
does
is where
happen.
it is, where the guy that you think stands no chance that already comes in and says he won't shoot for a takedown at all. Imagine. That'd be crazy. I don't think it happens, but it'd be nuts if it did.
I was there when Matt Serra, coming off of winning the Ultimate Fighter, the comeback, I think that was the season, and he's fighting George St. Pierre. And I'm sitting there with my friends. We're all drunk. We're like, oh my God, he won. He just knocked the shit out of him. Like, is he tapping out to punches? I was like, what is George doing? And we were like, oh, we got to go to the strip club. Our night's over. We had to leave. It was awful. It was like you see upsets like that in MMA because it's not boxing, it's not kickboxing, it's not wrestling, it's all of that. So there are so many ways to win and lose.
Yeah. He knocked him dead. And that's the one fight GSP said where he didn't have butterflies or wasn't scared at all. He said that was the only fight where he was completely confident and he got knocked out instantly.
Yeah. I still remember him tapping to punches like, oh my goodness, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
No, it could happen. Lade says, I see Aaron is all in on not having to get annoyed by having to talk about DC Comics this week. Gibby, JSA, and the New Gods upcoming. Grant B rules.
I will say this about All In. I read it and I'm all out. It was fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with the story, aside from the fact that, like, I'm so tired of stories where it's like all the heroes are together and we're all friends, and then the biggest bad guy shows up and we take him out. And I was just like, I read it and I was like, yeah, this was solid enough, but I just don't care anymore. I'm disconnected. Nothing can get me back in to and I still obviously care about the characters, because if I see a Superman action figure or a figure from DC that I like, that's a character that I've loved over the years, I pick it up. But as far as reading new stories about these characters by these new creative teams, and I just don't care.
Very well. Caleb says, I wanted to play Suicide Squad when it was announced, and they screwed up the Spider-Man 2 game. It had enough good stuff, but making Black Cat gay at the last minute, and so many SJW politics and DEI.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad game was horrific all around. Awful. Like, nothing was good about it. The story was bad. The gameplay was bad. And then for DLC, they teased. It's like, oh, Mr. Freeze gonna be added? No, they added his wife.
But it's not his wife. It's not his wife. It's an alternate lesbian version of it.
Yeah. So it's really dumb. I didn't play Spider-Man 2 because that's a Sony exclusive, and they ported it over to PC like 5 years later, and I only play on PC. So I don't know anything about that, but yeah, I've heard mixed things on that game.
So I remember the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League trailer thing came out the same day, I think, as something Knights, Gotham Knights.
Oh yeah, Gotham Knights.
And I thought Suicide Squad looked so much superior to Gotham Knights at that moment. And I was like, well, it must be okay because that one looks awful.
Yeah, they're both really bad, and Gotham Knights turned out to be better. Even though they're both, I wouldn't recommend checking either of those out. They're both really bad. The only fun bit about Gotham Knights is you can have some fun playing that with your friends. If you have if it's on sale for like $5 and you have some buddies that have it, you can kill some time with it, and it's not the worst thing ever. Suicide Squad,
you can play with all the Robins though, right?
Yeah, you can be Nightwing, Red Hood, Tim Drake, Batgirl.
But even then, you got to go. You got to play in the. You got to play in the DEI universe where you walk in and their lair has like the pride flag up on the wall.
Yeah,
and you're just like, oh, come on.
But are you able to play as Barbara Gordon in her wheelchair? Like you
Someone might have modded it, because in Arkham Knight there's a Lego Batman wheelchair mod for Arkham Knight. There's like 5 different wheelchair mods in Arkham Knight where you can just go around in a wheelchair.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, there's one that turns the Batmobile into a wheelchair, so you're just like scooting around Gotham going like Mach 5 in a wheelchair.
Well, if you're Barbara Gordon in the wheelchair, can you still like grapple up onto buildings, but with the whole chair, like your
Why wouldn't
spider?
You bigot.
Yep.
Very nice. Labe says the Comic Mint will be at New York City Comic Con. Go meet up with the team, and that includes the TCM Press team, including our great friend, superstar editor Aaron Sparrow.
Superstar editor.
How much are you
As if
charging
there's
for
such a
autographs
thing.
this year? $25?
I don't
30?
charge anything for autographs. I've never charged for an autograph.
You'd
That's
like give it
ridiculous.
away for free.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Wow.
look, if you bought, I mean, obviously you want me to sign something that you bought. If you bought something of mine, I owe you an autograph. That's my policy.
If I was at New York Comic Con and I was going to meet Aaron Sparrow in person for the first time, I'd bring a cricket bat. I'd be like, I need you to sign this.
I'll sign a samurai sword because you're not gonna not have me sign a samurai sword. I'll sign whatever. I've signed copies of Dynamite Starkwing Duck, even though I have nothing to do with it. I just write on it, Don't you wish this book were by Silvani and I?
I'd come with a cricket bat in a bag of Arby's just because I know you're hungry. I'd probably hand it over to you.
I'd sign a wrapper for you and hand it back.
You're gonna sign my Big Montana?
Yeah. That'd be pretty good. No, I do plan to have. The problem is the flights to New York suck. I don't know if you guys have traveled lately, but man, travel is just as garbage right now as everything else in the country. So it's like, I can't get a nonstop flight. No, good luck with that. I gotta have how long? A 5-hour layover in Denver? What? Are you out of your mind? So it's like you'll leave at like 6:30 in the morning and you'll get to New York at like 9:59 at night, and you're like, why is this taking so long? So that sucks. But I'm planning on bringing prints for Kneel Before Doomface. If you're on the mailing list at kneelbeforedoomface@gmail.com, there will be a release where I'll be talking about that. So sign up for the mail list if you want to find out about all that, or just go to my Instagram and you see all the pictures of what we're doing. I'm going to do a limited release before the show where if you can't make it to New York, you can sign up and you can buy some prints if you want.
And when is New York Comic Con? When are you going to be at?
It's from the 17th through the 17th, 18th, 19th, and the 20th.
So I got to get a replacement in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
remember that.
2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It's Dylan, right? It's Dylan. You said it was Dylan already.
Absolutely. Dion says, is there a reason why all modern Batman writers hate Denny O'Neil's and Neil Adams' work on Batman? The other reason for Batman's success. I definitely agree with that last statement, but I've never gotten the impression, Dylan, that modern writers hate Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams' Batman.
I haven't either. I've seen a lot of people try to recreate what they've done with Ration Batman as well. So I've seen a lot of homages. I haven't really sensed any hate for what they did with Batman at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're mistaking malice for incompetence.
Oh,
maybe.
That's good. Yes.
Because Denny O'Neil obviously not only was really influential bringing back the Rogues Gallery for Batman, but bringing them back evil, because they had kind of morphed into this weird version of the Adam West funny characters from the TV show, and he made them Batman villains with stakes again, because Joker was obviously very dangerous. He introduced Ra's al Ghul, but after he's done, he becomes the Batman group editor, and he oversees all the stuff like Chuck Dixon and Frank Miller and even Alan Moore doing on Batman. So really, in modern days, Denny O'Neil probably had more influence on the character than anybody.
Yeah, he aged up Dick Grayson too. He became a college student. Therefore, he's barely a teenager anymore. He's, that's when he comes into his own, literally, with Wolfman and Perez over on New Teen Titans as well. I mean, that opened up the door for Nightwing. I mean, we got to see this generational thing go on for the first time. Now, Jason Todd's Robin, he's 13, you know what I mean? And Robin's a kid again. And, so
yeah,
I see that. Thank you, Denny O'Neil.
You would be absolutely crazy to have a problem with Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams on Batman, because that's why you have your job.
Yeah.
Sally Akabe says, so this is about DC All In, but how are they cut off? She was able to create a portal herself, so the heroes were cut off, but she still was. That is a very good question, Dylan, because she still was traveling the multiverse exclusively. So how did she cut them off completely to where Darkseid had all of his energy returned to him?
I have no idea. How did she cut it off?
This is a pretty good question.
Yeah.
It kind of blows a hole in that.
I think we're thinking more about it than anyone that worked on the comic.
Yeah. Huh?
Isn't that always the way, though? It seems like that's the standard operating procedure these days.
Yeah.
Because that's how Batman was able to find the weird mausoleum that she had, was by using a boom tube, because access to the multiverses were cut off. But they weren't completely cut off because she was sending people there and hiding stuff.
Yeah, she kept hiding stuff the whole time, but then they cut it off. I don't know. Maybe the timing worked out differently than we're thinking. Maybe it got cut off later.
Maybe
and they just didn't do a good job of.
Maybe she cut it off completely, and then he got all the energy, and then she started opening them up here and there just for her own personal use. Maybe,
possibly,
maybe you could make it work.
Perhaps, maybe.
That's a very good point, Solly. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah.
He also says, I've caught up on most of the Massiveverse. Amazing with Power Rangers when he left. It just turned into bad writing and solely female-centric. So I thought for some reason, Nandor, that once he left, I think Ryan Parrott takes over Power Rangers, and people like what he was doing.
Yeah, no, from what I understand, what
now
Ryan
when Parrott leaves,
because
Flores takes over and becomes a different kind of team.
Yeah, that's different. And I believe Kyle Higgins and Ryan Parrott had done a lot of kind of stories together while Kyle Higgins was still on. So he kind of passed the torch.
And Parrott's in the Massiveverse with Rogue
Yeah. So I think they took they had a good collaboration, and they migrated over to the Massiveverse and used to their strengths to do that. So I mean, I don't think it. I think it was later on, where Power Rangers really started to kind of dive a little bit, and now the title's done, and they're going to be doing a relaunch with Power Rangers Prime, I believe, which is going to be like an all new version of the characters. So that'll be interesting. But
for the
that's something that happens with Power Rangers a lot, where they just wipe out the entire team and replace it.
I hope they make it diverse this time.
It will.
It'll run for the 3 years that Boom exists under Penguin Random House before they just do away with it.
Oh, snap!
Shots fired from Mr. Sparrow. Caleb says, Aaron, that clip I sent you of that cartoon, I sent you another. You might recognize the voices.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to tell me when you send me something on Facebook, because my Facebook is pretty much inactive at this point. So I will go check it out, because that last clip you sent me was fire, as the kids say. Do the kids still say fire?
I think they say it slaps. You're supposed to say that last clip you sent me slaps.
Oh, I thought music slapped, but I thought that other things were fire. So,
all right, Dylan, explain us what slaps is and how it works. I don't want to.
Dylan, explain to Aaron what the kids are saying.
It all works for anything.
So I could say, my kid did good on his test, and I say, boy, that slaps. Ooh. But then if I liked a cheeseburger, I'd be like, man, this cheeseburger slaps. It's just good. No. It's cool.
Yeah, it works. It works either way. Yeah.
What's the last thing you had that slapped, Dylan?
Like food wise or
anything? Whatever. What's the last thing that slapped in your life that was just good?
Get Fury #6 slapped, I guess. I enjoyed that a lot.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh man, I came in with a different impression. I definitely want to talk to you about that near the end. Now we know the last thing Aaron got that slapped was the robot movie.
Yeah, the Tickets to the Wild Robot. That movie slapped.
Oh man, we sound stupid. Sally says in the Batman tie-in that was the only mention of Darkseid. So I believe that when he became interested. But please talk about Massiveverse more.
I don't have much to say about it, I guess.
Massiveverse in Free Agents is crossing over right now. I don't know if you knew that one, but the Fabian Nicieza, Kurt Busiek Free Agents book that I think they're bringing back stuff from like the 90s are crossing over with Massiveverse. Specifically with
Free Agents. Free Agents is the one, it's like the reality house with all the superheroes living in it. And then they're like 30 years later, or is that an image book?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an image book.
All right.
Yeah.
I believe that's the one. So you might not have known about that. And so you might not have seen everything. But I've only got so much Massiveverse knowledge on me because I did read Rogue Sun and I really enjoyed it. But once Dylan and his dad's spirits were caught in the Sunstone to like work out their differences for 5 issues, I ended up falling off. I found it got boring after a while, unfortunately. But I do love Ryan Parrott. The able art on that one was really good.
Yeah, the colors on it are amazing. And like I said, I love the design of the outfits. It's very toyetic, and that goes a long way with me. This is, you could literally have action figures after this comic book, but it's a little inaccessible in a way. I mean, I wish they had more of like, This is new. Like, let's do the old Marvel thing where every issue could be a first issue for a new reader. Give me some more expository language. Give me, stuff like that. I could use a better entry point.
All right, so we've got something else here, and Dylan's going to be the only one that can help us here. I'm sorry. It's Southern Devil 08 says, if you like food, it's bussin'.
Yeah,
I think he's saying no food is no food.
Bussin' was like a thing for like a month. No one says bussin' anymore.
Stop
that was a little bit, and
happen.
also it was more of a joke. Bussin' ain't really a thing anymore.
Is that like a shorter version of bustin'?
Yes.
Oh, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's on fleek anymore?
No, that's not a thing anymore either.
Fleek is totally Audi 5000.
Yeah.
Chris 827 say the kids say that it 8 now. Is that
That
true?
is true. That is true. That is a thing now.
What?
Chris is right.
So if my kid kicks ass like at a concert in the choir, I'll be like, damn son, that 8. And he'll know that I think it was a good job.
Yeah, he'll definitely get it.
By the time he's old enough to care about that, Wes, that word will be over.
My son's 9 years old. He definitely wants to hear what his dad thinks about his performance. He's got a big parade coming up where he's gonna be playing.
Yeah, but you're gonna say like, "Well, son, that really 8," and he's gonna go, "Oh, father," and put
wow.
a bag over his head like Sylvester Jr.
That was bussin', kid.
Yeah, no.
Kid, that slaps.
Bussin',
No,
yo.
Poppy, no.
Yeah.
Not in front of my friends.
Not in front of my friends.
I don't want to be that dad, but I probably am. But that probably gives us enough time to get into the actual topics here today. That was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
But we got the DC All-In Special #1. We've got Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson co-writing this sumbitch. We've got the Alpha side illustrated by Daniel Sampere, the Omega side illustrated by Wes Craig. And obviously, this is the most important comic book that DC has put out in 8 years since DC Universe Rebirth, in my humble opinion. Dylan, I will throw it to you first because you are the DC aficionado. What were your thoughts on All In? Was it satisfying? Was it good? Were you disappointed?
If I had high expectations, I'd be disappointed, but I didn't, so it met my expectations. It was something where I thought it could have been much better than it actually was. It didn't really feel all in, especially with the weird editorial issues in it. Like in my video, I pointed out that so in the beginning of the Omega part, Darkseid cuts off his hand for his wish machine. And then partway through the book, he regrows his hand in between pages and then loses it again. Not actually. It's just so it's an editorial mistake. It doesn't make any sense. I posted the page on Twitter if anyone wants to see it. There's also some grammatical errors as well from Darkseid where it's like, you're all in and you're having simple editorial mistakes. How does that happen? But the story itself felt like been there, done that for a lot of it. I'll say the Alpha part felt technically written better, but I enjoyed the Omega part more because the Alpha part was much more straightforward and here's everything that's going on. I enjoyed the little Superman booster part. I thought that was good, but I didn't care for the whole, here's the JLA like member card. It's so important and we got it blessed by the gods. We also got like science and like Kryptonian technology and all this other stuff. It's like, it's a card. Like, who cares? And they make it like a central plot point. That felt really stupid. The engagement with Darkseid lasted all of 2 seconds. Batman also changes costumes in between pages.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
I didn't know what that. I was like,
Space magic.
I was like, did I miss something in the Batman run? Because I'm not reading Batman right now. But he just like he switches like in between. Like at Darkseid attacks and like in the middle of Darkseid's attack, he's just in a new costume. It's like,
yeah. At first, I thought, is this a different character? Like who is this? Like, is this Bruce Wayne? Because on the previous pages, he was in his regular outfit.
Yeah,
so
and then
that was confusing.
Yeah.
I kept flipping back and forth, and that's part of the reason that it took me out. It was the continuity gaffes. I kept going back and going, did I miss something? Is there like some time thing going on that I missed?
Yeah.
And that's why they're in different costumes. And that's why Darkseid has a hand again. Like I was really confused as to what was going on. And then I went back through it and I was like, no, I think this is just all bad editorial.
That's what I thought when Darkseid regrew his hand, because I was like, is that someone else? Am I missing something? Like who? And then I like stared at it for like 10 minutes. Like, no, that's Darkseid. That's clearly Darkseid grabbing that chain for Jim Corrigan, but it made no sense. But then the Omega side was very convoluted and messy, but I liked it because Wes Craig drawing Darkseid just wrecking house on all these different worlds was so cool. I loved that. Like, give me a whole book of that. But the reasoning behind what Darkseid was doing and all of that, I couldn't care less, and it felt really dumb because he has a wish machine and he makes the dumbest wish because he has to go and essentially get himself killed by the Justice League is what he does to get his new like reincarnation, to get his new like state of being. It's like he could have just wished for that, right? Like he wasted his wish on something else, which was really stupid.
What was literally the wish for a new Earth?
I think wasn't his wish to bond him and the Spectre? I thought that was his wish.
So
yeah. Because he went and he went to everyone to get Spectre, and then he grabbed them, and then he wished for him and Spectre to be together. Yeah, that's what it was. Because the Quintessence is like, you can't do this. We're gonna stop you. And then he's like, I can make a wish. I got Fairly Godparents. So then he does it, and he becomes one with the Spectre.
When you build your story around a wish, and we've seen that in recent, just in 3 recent projects: Wonder Woman 1984, Thor: Love and Thunder. And now this, when you build your story around a wish, it never works. It's not, I can think of one story built on a wish that works, and that's the Monkey's Paw. Otherwise, it falls apart because it ends up having all these flaws where you're like, well, you could have just done this. You could have just done this. If there's a place in the universe in Thor: Love and Thunder where you can just go and you can just get granted a wish, what was the point of gathering the Infinity Stones? Thanos just went and got a wish. It just kind of like it undoes everything.
Yeah.
So
it's undercut. Yeah.
It takes much smarter writers than we currently have to make something like that work. And when you're doing.
I was gonna say, especially for a character like Darkseid, it feels weird for him to be making a wish. Someone who's such a force in nature that like makes things happen, to be like, I'm just gonna make a wish. It feels cheap.
Yeah, and it again, Darkseid is a character that requires a smarter writer.
Yeah, and that's something with DC where I feel like DC has a lot of people right now that can do good on individual titles. Like I enjoyed a lot of what Snyder did with Batman, enjoyed a lot of what Williamson did with Flash, but neither of these guys are architects. They can't do it. And Mark Waid just showed he's not either. Like I feel like Jeff Johns is the last like true architect of DC that could actually put things together and be like, wow, I'm interested in what the next big thing is from this guy. To where these guys put them on an individual character, they can do good sometimes. But if you try to be like, hey, figure out what's going to be the future of the DC universe, like they can't do it. Like Williamson has had several events where it's like, who cares about any of this? They're just not good at the architect part of it, and they haven't found who is that guy at DC yet. But they're sticking with these guys who clearly aren't, which is sad.
Well, and Wade's big problem too is that he's so mired in politics that he can't keep his politics out of any story that he writes. So anything that he tries to construct, he's going to try to cram his politics in there, whether they fit or not, and they don't fit. And then it just makes the whole story just this unwieldy beast that doesn't read right.
That's all Absolute Power was. They were defeated by like AI and fake news. And it was like, this is so retarded. Why are the heroes going against this? And it's because that's what he sees on Twitter every day. So he's like, I'm going to put it in this story. And it's like, but this is superheroes. This is the DC universe. They're not gonna get defeated by fake news and like AI. Like this is so stupid. But that's
stop dragging these larger than life characters down to your levels of petty grievance, Mark.
Yeah,
stop it.
I have a question. Spoilers on?
Yeah,
spoilers
I'd say go for it.
Okay, we are live and live fire. Okay, I think the greatest strength of All In Special number 1 for me, being a Legion of Superheroes fan, gotta be the center splash page. That was drawn by Dan Mora. Huge art, beautiful page. Spoilers: Darkseid has the Legion of Superheroes, and they're all got Omegas and they're stylized evil costumes, and they work for the big guy. And I was like, whoa, I like that. That's got my attention. I'm a huge Legion fan. So it's a flip book, and like it's a publishing gimmick. I like that. I love this publishing gimmick. If you've been watching the shows, you know I'm a huge fan of Image Comics Local Man as floppies, because that book is a flip book.
Yeah.
And it's a cute publishing gimmick, and I like it. And it works here because your Alpha story, you flip over to the Omega story, they all lead to that center splash page. And it's a really good place to leave the story, because you're like, oh, what is going on? How do we get out of this? And it introduces, like, it sets up this world for the Absolute universe. It just brass tacks tells you with that expository language, this is what your Superman's about, your Wonder Woman and your Batman. And it's kind of very much like the Maker over on the New Ultimate thing. You've taken away they're inciting incident, in their story, and now here you go, cope, and they're gonna.
I will say that page where it started to bleed together was really cool.
That was
where
cool,
you saw
wasn't
it? Yeah, where you saw Wes Craig's art behind Daniel Samfier's and like holes. That was really cool. And it's cheap for a 64-page book too, so I'll give him that.
The price
as well.
was right on the money.
Yeah.
Great price, great price. I really, in Eric, I really loved the moment where Booster Gold looks at his Legion ring and he's like, "Oh, like what the heck?" That was a really cool moment.
Here? Yeah,
I liked that.
Did you like the Justice League membership cards being imbued with magic and science and Kryptonian DNA and a little bit
was the science? Was
it
the
doubles?
science?
It doubles as my subway pass too.
So there's like a billion of those cards
designed
by because everyone's invited.
Was the science designed by a woman though? Because we need more women in STEM.
Yes, it was.
It was blessed by a woman.
Definitely. And then we have like this, and to be honest too, I mean, I like the look of the new watchtower. I like it that it's circular, because now you don't have to pretend there's a gravity source. You just spin the thing, and you get,
so
you get simulated gravity.
How much crime was being committed while every single hero was on the watchtower? Also, to have this initiation where everyone has to be there, and the dark side attacks, there's just like everything's going on Earth. That's what I want. Why don't they do a little like tie-in miniseries of like someone's rogues gallery just going ham while they're all up there fighting dark side in the watchtower?
Dylan, the answer is just slightly more crime than any Blue City will experience this weekend.
What do you guys think? Because this is kind of like one of those things I go back and forth on. Is like and with Justice League Unlimited and that push that they're going to be doing with all the characters being a part of the Justice League, it kind of bothers me because there's I kind of have my own Justice League in my own mind of like who would be a Justice League member. And so when you open up the ranks and you're basically saying everyone can be a Justice League member, or all these characters who maybe have been in the past, and it's like an open invitation, and it feels like the entirety of the DC universe is now a Justice League member almost. And to me, that like undercuts the value of what it means to be a league member. It doesn't mean that these characters aren't as important or as cool, but it doesn't mean that they all have to be members of the Justice League. And I just feel like it's just like everyone's invited. Like, what's the point of the Justice League if it's just going to be the DC universe and all the characters that we love?
I mean, look at like JSA. You got 3 generations of heroes now under one roof, and that's a huge squad, and that's a lot of characters to keep track of.
Right.
Did you guys notice the Jonathan Hickman Avengers machine elements of it too? It was like, I felt like I was reading the Jonathan Hickman Avengers era.
He says it starts with an idea. That's exactly the same first line that Hickman uses in his Avengers run. Like it started with an idea. Like that's the whole thing. So I don't. It feels very unoriginal in that regard.
That was definitely one of our big critiques.
I was pretty much out when I saw that Detective Chimp was there.
Oh,
I was like, come
on.
On the Justice League? On the Justice League.
He knows what the bar with no name is, dude.
Just bring back Gleek, for God's sakes. Like, what are you doing?
Two different
Detective Chimp. I don't care. It's so stupid. Put Marvel Bunny on the team. Is Captain Carrot on the team? And I don't mean the new version.
Excellent addition.
I don't mean the new gritty version of Captain Carrot. I mean the original
Bronze Age. Happy Captain Carrot.
Nothing matters. Nothing matters.
No, it matters here, man.
Detective Chimp is on the Justice League and the Plastic Man No More book too.
It's stupid.
He's the one Justice League member that takes Eel seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else just like laughs over him, and everything they say, they think it's a joke. This is a sad book.
I think one of the biggest problems with this book, and anytime they're trying to, and this is where I feel like Jeff Johns always succeeds in doing, when he's trying to start over, let's say, or bring a jumping on point back to readers. I've been reading DC Comics for a long time, and I still do, and I still go and read DC books on the regular, because there are some handful of titles I still enjoy, but I'm not as privy to a lot of the events as much. I kind of, have dipped out on like Dark Crisis and Absolute Power and a lot of the events that they've done in the past few years. But something about this book that I thought was very, was a turnoff was someone who, I dabble in a little DC, but someone who hasn't, been reading DC for a while, if they were to pick up this all-in special, there's so many continuity, kind of callbacks. And I mean, there's even an editor's note to a death metal like issue 7.
Right. And then it has that page where the center is basically a recap of the dawn of DC era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes it goes from Dark Crisis, the death of the Justice League, and that includes Night Terrors. We all forgot about that.
Yeah. And
Beast World.
like, half the time I'm just like, I don't even know the value of what I'm reading. I don't know what this has to do with the current storyline, and I feel like it just got in the way of the accessibility of trying to get new readers. It was not the entry point that I would want. I couldn't give this book to a new DC reader or someone who was like, oh, I want to start reading DC Comics, because I mean, it would have the caveat of like, here, read this. This is what they say is a good entry point. You're probably going to have a lot of questions, and we're just going to have to talk about it, I guess, later. But
it was done better in the past, like the dollar special with Blue Beetle getting killed, or DC Universe issue number 0 with Grant Morrison, and Jeff Johns, like before Final Crisis.
Nandor brings up a really good point. It definitely slaps. I definitely got to admit that. And it reminded me of the way that DC Universe Rebirth totally made me feel, to where you got that moment with Wally and Barry that everyone remembers, and it brings you right in. But you also had Batman discovering the comedian's button. Okay, now you're hinting at something that seems like it's going to be cool. You had references to the 3 Jokers. You see Batman with the sun, or I'm sorry, Superman with the sun, and you got all those moments in there, Dylan, that I was just so excited for. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to read these books, because there were these little calls of what was going to happen, not really so much references to the past on what you probably want to forget. And I don't think this really had a moment like DC Rebirth, which had like 8 of them.
Yeah. This doesn't really give you much to look forward to. The only thing that I feel like this gave you look forward that was interesting was like Booster in the Absolute Universe and the Legion of Superheroes. That's the only bit where it's like, oh, that could be cool. But everything else, there wasn't like any like, ooh, look forward to this, look forward to this. There wasn't any of that. There's a lot of callbacks. Like I've read all this DC stuff, and I haven't read Final Crisis in at least a decade. I completely forgot about the Wish Machine. Them pulling out the Wish Machine. I was like, what is this? I was like, oh yeah, it's that thing from Final Crisis. So it felt really stupid to be, this is the book for like everyone to jump back in on DC. If you haven't read in a while, welcome back. Or if you're new, here you go. It's like, no, it's too convoluted, and it doesn't give you that thing to really look forward to or tease you like this is going to be what to look forward to going forward.
Yeah, and I kind of just don't buy. I mean, I don't know what it is. Like I guess the comic book brain that I have is like, oh, that's kind of like a cool idea, but I just don't think it was executed well. And I don't really understand the logic of Darkseid merging with the Spectre. It feels like something that would be impossible. Like, and maybe that's why they brought the Wish Machine, just so that he could do that. Yes. But I like the Spirit of Vengeance, like a character who is the wrath of God, like and Darkseid combining. It feels like antithetical to the character and what the character could be possible to do. Like, how could you do that? So it feels a little silly. It feels like
he's wrathful. I mean, it's a weird mashup, but gosh, what a terrible, not a terrible mashup. I mean, like,
right. It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Like, wow, what a upgrade. That's like,
it's like putting Dr. Manhattan's brain in the Batman Who Laughs. Like, what would happen?
They definitely pulled that out of their ass, because they needed Darkseid to do this thing. Like, how do we get him to do it? Who's someone powerful? The Spectre.
Like, Spectre's in all the Crisis. We got to get him somehow in here,
Yeah,
But,
I don't know why they didn't give him a hint of green with that, though. Like, he got more pink when he merged with the Spectre. That felt weird. It's like, why isn't this green?
It's called Everqueer, and it's a color that we use, and we have to accept it, right? Oh, you're a bigot.
I thought he was going to merge with the Spectre, and then he was immediately going to go hug Alan Scott and tell him that, everything that you've done is good and just and righteous.
I've rewritten my Golden Age history. Look, you love me through retcon.
They loved you, Alan. All of them. Oh
They
God,
will
that's such a
accept
bad
you.
moment. It doesn't matter what you're doing on the docks. So yeah, I was definitely missing that big,
roll away.
like that big moment that just got your juices flowing and reminded you of why you really
I think the center
really
page
want to
did that
jump
for
into
me.
DC.
I don't know if
Yeah.
juices flowing was the phrase that you wanted to go
Yeah.
to. Right?
But the ending with the absolute power, or not absolute power, but the absolute world felt really dumb too. With Darkseid's monologue was like, "Here's a new world where there's still DC heroes, they're still gonna be fighting, but there's a little less hope."
And
Yeah.
there's Omega symbols on everybody.
Yeah, it's like, who
Yeah.
cares? It's like,
Kinda-
why does Darkseid really care about? Like, Darkseid felt really in about this. Like, I got new heroes that have a little bit more adversity this time.
Yeah, because I kind of felt like, well, isn't the DC universe hard enough? You know, like isn't there enough painful
there's an
things
Earth
that have
3.
happened?
Okay,
you
well,
know, and-
Multiverse.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. No, I mean, I really feel that like DC's Earth Prime Zero and Marvel 616, those are like science fiction utopias. Now they have strife, they've got tension, they got bad guys, but overall, it's a place that can't exist. And literally what you think of utopia, this new Earth is a dystopia, and that's like it's the yin to the yang there.
But we have stuff
Right.
like that already. Like the Injustice
Yes.
universe exists. We have like Hitler, Superman, and
Yes.
then we also have like Earth 3, where all the Justice League's bad. It's like we have these universes. and this
All-Star
one-
universe.
Yeah, in comparison, this one's not that bad. Like,
No.
so I don't get why Darkseid's like in his monologue, he acts like it's this big dark thing, but then like his whole point of it is it's like they're gonna have a bit more adversity than usual this time.
But there is a universe out there where Superman turns bad and takes over the world as a dictator, where Superman is an agent of Hitler and is working for his grandson now. There's another one where, you could Injustice and Earth 3, where he's kidnapping his own son and torturing for 12 years straight.
Yeah,
He's done way
infinitely-
worse stuff.
Yeah, there's infinitely more sinister universes out there than this one. This one, by all comparisons, isn't that bad.
You want to do something shocking? Reveal that the main universe is the only universe where Superman is good.
Ooh,
It's like
that's
you do
interesting. That is unique.
And
Well, you still have
and then-
Earth 1 Superman, and he's good. That's only been
Yeah, but I mean,
established.
you got to eliminate that. You got to have
Yeah,
that
well,
destroyed.
do it. It doesn't matter. They don't use Earth 1 anymore.
Mhm.
Jay
And just
Garrick is firmly
just like
entrenched in our
in-
universe now.
In a couple of years, if we're all still alive, we'll be talking about the fact that they don't use the absolute universe anymore.
Well, definitely. And I guess that's another question to ask Sully is, this is Scott Snyder's big return to DC Comics. He was their #1 writer for a very long time. He set up basically all the stuff that he's doing here at the end of Dark Knight's Death Metal, where you had the new Omniverse, and at the center of it was the Elseworlds, and then over here you had the Dark Multiverse, and things were going to get darker and darker and darker. All that was abandoned. He returns, he reconceptualizes it, but it's basically the same thing. Does this get you hyped up for Scott Snyder and what he can bring to DC Comics still?
To be honest, after reading Absolute Batman pirated, Absolute Superman has my attention. I could definitely check it out in issue 2 and be like, hey, let me just check some of this stuff out. Why not? Shouldn't we be giving
Absolute
chances?
Batman is admittedly the first issue is good.
Yeah, I really agree. I mean,
First issue of Last Night on Earth was awesome. Go read issue 2. It falls apart rather quickly.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, how long do you think we got Snyder on this for a year?
He's promising years upon years, but we're also seeing the return of like the Court of Owls and Batman. Are they going to be bringing back all of Scott Snyder's ideas? Are we going to get the Batman Who Laughs back too?
Ooh, I hope not. They ran that into the ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 3 Jokers. I mean, let's give that shit a rest. I mean, like give us like at least try to innovate a bit more. That's how we got Punchline. Punchline caught. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
More of that, please.
That is the big thing that's missing is the innovation. But maybe that's what you could expect when you bring somebody that has such a tried and true history with DC Comics and you bring them back. Not a lot of innovation, just returning to the core concepts of what he was working with before anyway.
And I wonder, like with the Absolute Universe stuff, I mean, inevitably we're going to get animated versions of this. You know, like, what are they going to be like as well? Are they going to be allowed to, you know, dynamically create new characters and new villains? And, you know, will they have proper, you know, recompense for the IPs that they create if they catch on? You know, just I think, you know, it could be fun. I like stuff. Hope you do too.
I will say, you know, I'm still on board for the absolute titles. I'm excited for the creative teams, and I think Snyder and Nick Dragotta. You know, it's almost. I feel like people forgot about Nick Dragotta. You know, it's like he did East of West with Hickman for so many years, and he's been around for a long time, and he worked with Josh Williamson on Action or you know Superman, and you know I really love his art style, and I feel like it can come out of the gate really strong. But you know the thing about comics is maintaining. You know, how do you maintain the excitement? How do you maintain the hype on a month to month basis? And you know, the tried and true way is don't switch creative teams. Keep these people on these books, because when you switch things up too much, you're going to get people that fall off. You know, if Nick Dragotta only does, you know, the first story arc, I mean, that just feels like a slap in the face to people who, you know, want this book to succeed.
Do we have a group editor for Absolute, like a Unidivision kind of thing? Like Ben Abernathy's got the Energon universe, and that's going to go in his, you know, marching orders soon.
I think Chris Conroy's doing Elseworld, so I imagine that makes him like the Absolute Universe guy as well, I believe. And he might be the worst editor at DC as far as group editors, so that's probably not a good thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another good point there. You know, with somebody that dabbles in DC comics from time to time, and you know, maybe you like Green Lantern now, and maybe there's a couple of titles, maybe a Superman that you're enjoying. At the end of the day, did DC All In make you call up your comic book shop, Nandor, and say, "Hey, throw this on the pull list, throw this on the pull list"? Because it felt like the only thing that they were even trying to advertise was Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
And unless you're into the concept that everyone's on the team, that's probably not for you. But I don't think it gets you excited for this new Green Arrow era or Batman and Robin or a new writer on Action or Detective.
Right. No, it doesn't. I mean, I will say there was that little, you know, one or two panels, and I was already on board for Ram V's New Gods, but you know, where Orion is talking about they need to find a new dark side. You know, that now that dark side is gone, like how do they?
There's no balance.
Right.
Yeah, there's no balance. So like that is a kernel of an idea that has a lot of potential. But again, you know, and I feel like that's something that Ram V is going to be, you know,
New
adding
Genesis
upon.
and Apocalypse are cut off as well, because those are separate to Earth Prime Zero's universe. You know,
right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, I'm excited for that. I want that, and I thought that was a little good plug to, you know, something in the future. But for the most part, none of this made me excited for any, you know, DC in continuity books. And I was, you know, I'm always open to that. I'm always wanting, you know, give me a reason, right? I'm always looking for that reason to pick up new books, new stories. And it didn't accomplish that for me, but you know, I was somewhat already on board with the Absolute just because I enjoy Elseworld stories, and I feel like honestly, DC's Black Label and Elseworld stories have the most potential to shake things up, do things differently. They don't have to worry about continuity as much. And I've also been very, very much enjoying Marvel's Ultimate line, so I'm here for that. And I, like I said, I like the artists that are on these books, and I like the creative teams. But it is all about maintaining that. I feel like Marvel has done a good job at, you know, at least keeping the creative teams on all the Ultimates books. You know, nothing's really shaken up that much at all. And if they can do that with Absolute, then, you know, they have something there. And, you know,
with the exception of Wonder Woman, because they should switch that creative team up immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more excited, and I don't know why people aren't talking about it more. And I don't know when it comes out, but you know, Jeff Lemire on Flash, that sounds freaking great. Like I am like, give me that right away. So
I'm looking forward to.
I'm exactly the opposite, because I'm like Jeff Lemire on a Flash that I don't know or care about. Don't care. I'm not interested in seeing what Jeff Lemire does with a character that I'm not invested in. I'd be more interested if Jeff Lemire were on the real Flash book.
Yeah.
That would be a huge upgrade, certainly.
I agree. I'd be more interested in seeing him on the actual Flash book taking over Spurrier, but I am interested to see what he does starting out where there is no baggage and he can do whatever he wants. That definitely piques my interest. So I'm a big Jeff Lemire fan. So
yeah, but as a line, it's DC all in. It's not DC Absolute Universe.
Right.
It wasn't only supposed to get you excited for that one side pocket of the universe that may or may not come to be very, very important. It does feel like they're going to have to merge up and encounter each other at some point, but
yeah,
that might be the next Crisis event, right?
Oh yeah, got it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But like they've got new creative teams I'm really excited for Green Arrow, Nightwing, and Batman Robin, and there was no mention of any of that. Like no, like, hey, go check this out in this book. None of that. Like unless you're paying attention to like solicitations, you don't. They didn't hint towards any of that in this book, and I'm excited for all three of those to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm interested for Green Arrow. I mean, by Chris Condon. I mean, he did a decent job last week on Venom War Daredevil #1. It was like, oh wow. By the end of the book, I'm like, oh, this was really decent. And if I can expect this in Green Arrow, I might be happy just picking it up and supporting him.
Yeah, and they could have thrown a bone to JSA too because we got a new JSA title with Jeff Lemire. That would have been cool to like tease that a little bit. Like that's.
Right.
It was the
Where
kind
is
of
it?
weird thing that the character besides Justice League that they were highlighting the most is Booster Gold. And to my knowledge, they haven't announced a Booster Gold book.
Yeah,
right.
Nothing. It's so weird.
It's got to be coming though, right?
You'd think.
Because he's stuck.
If they're not giving it to Jurgens, who would they hand it to?
I think that maybe it's Booster's time to die. You know what I mean? And then make him a legacy character and switch that up.
Get his ass beat by Harley Quinn again?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what happened to Harley's superpowers? Tom King.
Uh-oh, did Wes freeze?
No. I don't think she beat Booster Gold. I think she beat the Trinity.
Yeah, she beat both of them.
Booster Gold.
No, she beat up Booster too. Remember when they're at
the bar thing?
Yes,
at the beginning.
She beats his ass. Right.
Yeah, he needed
beat up everyone in that comic.
It is nice to finally have the classic DC logo. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I said that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
watch out.
When I went into my LCS and I looked at their DC wall and I saw it everywhere, I was like, you know what? This is really cool. Like this gets me excited.
I agree, but when he was talking, he being Sully was like, man, I'm really happy about the bullet logo. I was like, when that's the thing that you're excited about, they've missed something. Like you should be excited about
the bar is low.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the logo too. I think it looks a billion times better. It's great.
Yeah, I mean,
the reason it's great is because it reminds you of a time when DC books were good.
Absolutely.
And now you're going to open it, like it's going to ruin the logo for you. Like you're going to get to the point where that logo is going to be on modern books, and you're not going to like it anymore because it's on all this trash.
No, I think a lot of people will acknowledge that the Wes Craig Dark Side stuff, definitely not new reader friendly. Interesting there. Do we know, is Wes Craig going to be on one of the Absolute books? Is he coming to DC Comics, or was that a one-off?
He's coming to DC Comics, but I don't know what on. Because they've like talked about how he's going to be doing more stuff with DC. I'm very certain of that, but I don't think they've said what yet.
Why isn't he doing the New Gods book then?
Yeah, no kidding.
I know.
He'd be so sick on that.
He can't be doing Flash.
Telling Ram V's boring ass story.
Yeah, wouldn't have a whole lot to do.
I just can't see him on Flash or Green Lantern.
Yeah, it'd be like Clayman on a Tom King book.
Maybe he's in Absolute Detective Chimp with Dennis
That would be fun.
And it'll be written by Mark Russell, so it'll be hilarious. Oh well, Dennis Camp actually is unintentionally hilarious. So that's the funny thing. Mark Russell's trying to be funny and failing. Dennis Camp is trying to be serious and it's hilarious.
Did you get excited for the new State of Dark Side? Did you really think that elevated the character, Aaron? Did he need a sprucing up?
Nah. I think that they actually devalue Darkseid the more they use him. they use him too much. He's edging into Batman Who Laughs territory, where they're just using him so much that it's like they're just taking away all of his mystique. They're taking away any kind of like, and he just gets dumber with each iteration. We were talking about the fact that like you need a smart writer to write certain characters. You need a smart writer to write a Reed Richards or a Dr. Doom. You need or at least, you know, Mark Waid can write Dr. Doom not because he's a smart writer, but because he understands pettiness.
He's
so
evil.
It's like so he can really like dig into a character like Doom, who at his heart is very petty and small. You know, you need a writer who can kind of like understand the character. You don't have to be a Tony Stark to write Tony Stark, but you have to be smart enough to fake it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to fake the science. You can get away with Star Trek science. Like, oh, we're gonna modify. How are we gonna get out of the situation that we're in?
It's a tachyon field, Captain.
We'll modify the deflector array to emit a tachyon pulse, and that'll free us from the thingy that we're trapped in. And everybody goes, okay, sure, why not? I can't disprove that.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
So you got to have that level of, you know, that
number
level
one,
of pseudoscience.
you smell like number two. Engage.
Last time I saw Dark Side was Dark Crisis Infinite Earths, right, Dylan? Where he was like one of the bitch boy villains.
Like Doomsday, where he just showed up and wasn't really himself. Yeah,
Necron,
I'm pretty sure that was the last time he showed up.
Like Doomsday, it's just like they had that villain side.
They bitched out all of them,
man.
Well, they were all like Power Ranger.
This is better than that.
It is better.
I mean, you can't argue that.
It came down to Dick Grayson mind fighting Terminator Deathstroke.
It's like, oh, it's tasty. But I mean, Wes, you're like, oh, that's tastier than a shit sandwich. Well, I guess so.
You missed solely recommending several books earlier by saying they're not that bad.
You did mess
I'm not spending money on it, but
DC had some real quality this week. A lot of their stuff didn't completely suck.
Poison Ivy 26, take a chance on it. G. Williamson is the unsung hero of that bullpen.
Hey guys, DC hit the point where you know, a million chimps banging away at a typewriter wrote something that's legible.
Detective chimp.
Yes.
Let's hear from the peoples. We got some. This is a funny question. Dion wants to know. This has got to be an Aaron because he's a writer. Or I guess we'll throw this to Data. You're also a writer. Who would win in a sumo fight, Josh Williamson or Mark Waid? How do you write that scene?
Mark Waid.
Oh, Mark Waid would fall down and start crying and
Williamson way bigger.
So
yeah. Josh Williamson. You know, I think he's got some size on Mark Waid, but you know, I think he'd be able to.
If you don't think Mark Waid would grab a handful of salt and throw it in his eyes and kick him in the balls and knock him out?
Like
I think
style, just throw some sand in his eyes. I can see that.
I think the only way that Mark Waid has a chance in pretty much any fight is if it's behind a keyboard, and even then he'll probably lose because he'll throw a tantrum and quit.
That's right. He throws salt in his eye. He grabs a keyboard. And he breaks it over his head. And he's like, "Who's the keyboard warrior now? You are. You did it." Oh, that would be fun. Comic Odyssey says, I just want to shout out to Adam Valley Bulletin on Substack. I'm not affiliated, but you get deeply researched and well-written articles about comics history.
Oh, cool.
Thank
Look them up.
Check it out.
I am going to look that up. Let me type that down because there are things that a lot of times I'm like, hey, I want to check that out, and I completely forget about it. Adam Valley Bulletin.
And sometimes we can get people like that on the channel.
Yeah, that sounds like something that I would go and support. So thank you very much for that information. We've also got HH in the gang at Sigma Comics. Shout out to Thinking Critical. We're resting and prepping for New York Comic Con. Keep it tuned to Thinking Critical. Support the team and keep your comics indie from Sigma Comics or your LCS. That is awesome. Obviously, HH is a New Yorker proud because New York, according to HH, is better than Boston. That's
hey, there's no competition.
They got better pizza.
You know, we got better chowder.
Well,
they all come here from Long Island a few times a year. They go to our school, drink our water, screw our women, and then they go home happy.
But definitely get ready for New York Comic Con. You can meet HH, you can meet Drew, Aaron Sparrow. You could probably find AL if you know what she looks like in the crowd, and you can have yourself a good old time. And obviously, there's got to be even more people there to hang out with. You can meet Murphy, right?
Yeah, Murphy will be there. Joe Corallo is there every year. Our good friend Joe Corallo will be there.
Nice.
Comics Aficionados meetup.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people that
have supper together. Break some.
We're trying to get Josh out there. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're trying to.
Definitely, give some good people that are trying to make great comic books your money. show up and support. Here Comes the Calico, Doomface, TCM Press. You're going to have Unholy Nightmare, which Drew is fulfilling at this very moment. Really exciting stuff happening not only at New York Comic Con, but around the entire Thinking Critical family. It's absolutely amazing.
And you got Man-Child number 3 there. Is that your title, Nandor?
That's mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you do the con scene?
I do. I haven't done much this year, but I was at C2E2, and I do some local shows around, the Midwest mostly. I don't really go to the East or West Coast, but I'm hoping next year to hit some bigger conventions.
Very nice. Is there a convention in Columbia, home of the Missouri Fighting Tigers?
There's no convention here. It's actually very surprising.
They have a really good shop there, though.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah. So there's Distant Planet and there's Rock Bottom. So we're pretty good in our LCS givings here in mid Missouri. So that's always really nice.
So you probably got to go to Kansas City or to St. Louis if you're looking for conventions.
Right. Yeah. There's usually the fan expos there. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. So we got Darth Messiah. Thoughts on the superfan focus group thing that Hollywood is trying to implement?
Aaron?
I think this is an awful idea, Aaron, because they're going to find the superfans on Reddit.
Yeah, yes. No, someone asked me about this on Twitter, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I got to get back to that, and I never did, so I got to go do that. But I'll give my opinion here on it. I think it's an awful idea. I think it's awful because they're gonna. First of all, I don't think focus groups fix anything because what you do is you get a bunch of random people that don't, and it's like, and I know that they're saying like they're going to get like super fan groups, but we've already seen what they consider super fans with the Rings of Power.
Really
we brought in these Tolkien super fans, and you got people going like, my girl Galadriel, and it's like they're not fans, they just are influencer shills.
It reflects the bias of the people who aren't gatekeeping properly, because you're not supposed to gatekeep.
I think you just bring in some talented writers who care about the characters and who actually care about the source material, and you stop telling your writers don't read the source material. Just go in and make it up as you go along. That's the first
make
step
the writers' room smaller.
Yeah,
and get a single focus. Use some source material and bang out a fucking cool story.
Stop trying to stack your writers' room based on DEI requirements. Stop trying to have one of every representative group in the room. You need somebody with a singular vision, and then they need to go and they need to execute a good film, a good script, and then you don't. And the biggest thing is keep all the studio notes out of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's another problem. When your focus group is a bunch of executives coming in and going, well, I think we should have this, I think we should have that after the fact, and then you got to go back and you got to do a bunch of reshoots for a bunch of idiot executives. Your project's always going to be awful. Also, stop trying to find your project in the editor suite, the way that that book said that Kevin Feige, he's such a genius, he can find the movie in the editing. So you just go shoot a bunch of bullshit and then try to cobble something together. That's not a winning strategy.
They ruined our Spider-Man trilogy by being like, it doesn't matter what you want, Sam Raimi. You're throwing Venom into the third movie. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I did not want to use that.
How do I do this?
Well, Avi Arad, famous Spider-Man ruiner.
Yes. Sally Akibay says it's annoying that they're doubling down on Dreamer. I do find the character annoying, but are they doubling down on her if they just killed her?
Well, she's back. She's better than ever. She got better.
She came back?
She got
because
better.
John kept dreaming of her, so he kept her alive. That's what happened after Power number 4.
I got better.
Because John constantly dreamed of her, and so he kept her alive.
His dream girl.
Yeah.
He's going to leave Jay for Dreamer.
Why not? He's showing his true colors. He doesn't deserve Johnny.
He doesn't deserve Jay? Oh, you're talking about Jay.
John's a good boy.
I didn't read Absolute Power 4.
Oh, really?
Lucky.
So I had no
idea.
idea.
Me read it, and you didn't read it.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Well, listen, they're going to double down on Dreamer because Mark Wade has to cloak himself in virtue. So
didn't Dreamer premiere on the Arrowverse or something, right?
He was in.
Why is this? I mean, we know why this character is important, but why is this character important? Premiere on there. Like, we're not getting Diggle in here freaking
Right.
saving the DC universe.
Right. But
would it be weird to like have like Andy Diggle has worked for DC, and then you take a TV character that's named after him and put it in the DC universe? Is that weird?
I thought John Diggle was John Stewart Diggle. I thought that was his his stepfather's name was Stewart. So technically that's supposed to be John Stewart, right? In Arrowverse.
I mean, that's what they tried to morph. They were trying to morph it into that after a fashion.
They wanted to make him. Yeah, they wanted to make him Green Lantern later, but also then they like in Jeff Lemire's run he introduced Diggle, and then didn't in Williamson they just brought back Diggle, right? I thought they did like a callback or something like early on in Williamson's run, but yeah, Diggle's like his own character. But anyways, he's not important. He's just like a random guy that shows up sometimes now. It's where Dreamer, it's like the Arrowverse is where we get our great creations from, and like
she made the transition.
Writer.
Dreamer made the transition, no pun, but so did Harley Quinn, and so did Renee Montoya. And overall, I mean,
they got fucking Denny to write those books. They didn't get the actor voicing Harley to write the books.
Yeah,
but I will say this: I mean, I bought Suicide Squad, Dream Squads 1, 2, 3, and 4 because the Eddie Barrows art really elevated the main script. But overall, it was a pretty decent. Here I go again. It was okay. It
wasn't that bad.
it was good
real
enough
selling
that I bought it because then that was mainly for the Eddie Barrows art. But Dreamer as a character was like one of the only characters that actively stood up to Amanda Waller the entire time, and that was I liked the cut of her jib. I liked that was good. And she sacrificed herself in a way, but got a way in. She got a get out of jail free card out of that with Johnny Kent. There.
Well, so it's like these other iterations that have come in, like Harley Quinn, Montoya, and stuff. It's like those are from beloved shows. It's from Batman the Animated Series that everyone's like, this is really good. The Arrowverse
is beloved. That Flash show was amazing for a couple.
The Arrowverse never financially successful. We know that.
So what?
The Arrowverse was never something where it's like all of its quality. It's like you can throw a dart and maybe hit like a quality season every now and again, but for the most part, it's not very good. And I was like, man, that Dreamer, I really hope
was bad in the beginning.
At the end of the day, the two things that the Arrowverse will have given us in comics is Dreamer and the writing of T. Franklin. Those are the two things that the Arrowverse has given us. So
Gustin, he was a perfect Barry Allen. I loved it.
I love the Flash.
Well, he wasn't Barry Allen, first of all. He was Wally West, but that's another discussion. We do have Wade coming in here and says, Wes and Doc have me in for the new Retro Sabretooth mini. And you should be, because it's written by Frank Thierry. It's right in his wheelhouse. And Michael Santamaria, who's relatively new to Marvel Comics, is going to knock it out of the park. He did the Shadows of the Green Goblin art, a story that I don't love, but I thought looked fantastic. So I think it's going to be good. Are you in for a Retro Sabretooth mini, Sully?
Not my cup of tea.
Nah, sorry about wanker.
That. A wanker?
Jeez.
You Yankees fan. Yankees suck.
Sully says, Dreamer as a concept is decent. Wes brought up a thought about a relationship between Dreamer and John. Looks like that's what's happening with the revival. Well, that's certainly what they were hinting at in that, was it Absolute Power Son of something, where he was like holding her hand and just hold me type thing. Did anyone else have to read that?
I didn't read it, but I saw that page. Yeah, I saw the page you were talking about. Yeah.
It's like, I don't think this makes it better. This is like...
I mean, what's going to happen though? It's going to be weird because it's like there's going to be a contingent of people that don't buy comics on Twitter that will have a problem with the fact that John is not with Jay Nakamura anymore because that's their ship. And then they'll be
now he's with the trans character.
Yeah, which is, more checkboxy, more diverse, but it's going to be like, well, she presents as female, so you're taking away his gay, it's just going to create a whole nother level of stupid arguments.
Imagine going back in time to 2017, like telling a John Kent fan everything that's going to happen to him.
Your guy just enjoying Super Sons.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this is a really cool new character. I like what's going on here.
It's like I am Dylan, harbinger of a dark future. I'm here to tell you.
What's that movie, The Devil's Advocate, with Keanu Reeves? And it turns out the movie was him being shown everything that would happen if he represented that guy, and he just walks out.
Yeah,
this is going to ruin my life. That would be that moment. You just walk out of the comic book store. You're like, I'm uninvested.
Yeah, I'm done.
In everything. Federico De La Casa from Italy, I believe. Writing comics without limits isn't a goal. The goal is writing within the limits of the character in a genre, a new but feel traditional at the same time.
I agree with that.
I
think
that's
yeah. I think you have to know your rules and your boundaries, with these characters and what fits, within character, and you can't. And it all depends on where you're coming from, right? Like, are you coming from a place of plot or character? And but I can only imagine too what it would be like to be in the bullpen and the headaches that are induced in trying to keep into continuity and make sure that the story you want to tell can be told now, or if you have to wait till later to tell it because this character you want to use is in this other book, all that kind of stuff. But in most cases it plays to the strengths of the character because it makes it matter, right? And I mean, the whole point of having a universe is having continuity. That's what we love about superheroes. That's what we love about our comics, because there's that connective tissue and that connective energy of what we can do with these characters, and what happens, does it matter or not? And that's what we're just kind of dragging our feet through right now.
Yeah, like for example, the biggest character that I ever worked on, the biggest character I probably will ever work on was, Darkwing Duck, obviously. And we looked at the cartoon and we were like, how do we continue this? How do we stay within the framework of this, but do things that are new? And that's the way that we approached it. Is like, how do we give the fans what they want? Stuff that they'll dig, but like try and do it in a way that's unexpected, or that that they won't see coming. And that was how we always tried to build it. But you stay within the parameters of the character. You don't go and try and make him something that he's not.
Yeah.
And even though it's a looser universe, and you can't do that because the cartoon had no real continuity. But for the comic book and what we were going to do with it, we kind of had to have a continuity. We kind of and so we were going to build on the show, but also then build on each thing that we did. And
right.
I think that's the way that I approach comics. Is if you're giving something that already exists, like I always say, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. So what you have to do is you can't just disregard everything that they did, all the work that they did, and just go, I'm just going to take the next step and make it something that it's not. You have to say, like, what's the foundation here, and how can I build up from that foundation and add to it? And I think that there's not enough comic creators that even understand the idea of that. Like, it's not that they don't want to, it's not that they come in and they want to destroy everything, although certainly there's guys like Jason Aaron who get off on it. But you have to come in, you have to say, like, what can I do that makes this better, but also leaves it intact for the next person that it gets handed off to.
Yeah, like what Jeff Johns did 20 years ago on Green Lantern. He just like enveloped everything. He embraced everything that came before it and just used it as a jumping spot to tell robust new stories, new villains, new places. And then we got Blackest Night out of that. Wow.
Yeah.
It was just a build. It was just like, do you remember what a great time in comics that was? Like how Green Lantern was the most exciting book coming out from DC, and it was just like layered. It was like, you got Sinestro Corps War, and you're like, man, this is insane. Amazing. And then it's like, oh yeah, you think that's insane? Guess what's next? And it's like, it just kept going. It kept building to this huge event that we all had a lot of fun with. We were all walking around wearing those free rings they were giving out.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I was afraid to wear the Red Lantern T-shirt because it looks way too Yahtzee-like. It really does.
I had that problem. Like, I saw a really good like Red Skull Hydra shirt design once, and I was like, man, that's really cool. And I was almost ready to buy it, and then I'm like, I don't want to walk around with a Hydra shirt. What am I doing?
I'm a good guy. I don't want that.
Like, I don't believe in Hydra's mission.
Aaron, Federico wants to know who's going to sink first, Ultimate Universe or Absolute Universe?
Well, Ultimate Universe only has one hit, and I
Black
think
Panther?
that no, Spider-Man. It's like I don't like it. I don't think it's great. I'm not enjoying it, but people are definitely fine. Yeah, again, it's Sully. It's fine.
It's fine.
So I think that the Ultimate Universe is already a non-entity. Absolute, I think, will probably follow pretty much the same path. I think Batman is going to be successful for a year or so. At least sales-wise. And then it'll fall off. But I don't think I think Superman and Wonder Woman are going to fall off within the first year. I just don't see it happening. And it's a shame because the art on Wonder Woman, I think that artist could be strong. some of the pages I've seen, I'm like, oh, the editor should have pushed this more. Should have told him to push this more. Because there's some things that just like kind of like continuity wise, you're just like, this could have been better. But it's a strong artist, but you're going to get Kelly Thompson dialogue. So it doesn't matter. You're going to get Kelly Thompson-isms. And Kelly Thompson can only do one thing.
Like that fight scene. That same fight scene in every issue.
Yeah.
Dion says Joker 2 is currently flopping.
That's not what he said.
What says Jonkler? It definitely means Joker.
It's either a typo or he's making a dig that we don't understand.
It's a meme. It's a meme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, we need Dylan here. Dylan, explain to us.
Dylan, take over. Talk about Jonkler 2.
Jonkler's just a meme, and that's what he's referencing. But yeah, it's apparently really bad, and I have no intentions of seeing it. And Todd Phillips, it seems, intentionally made it really bad just to spite everyone. So
listen, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you the spoiler. No, I'm gonna give you the spoiler. So if you guys don't want the spoiler, go ahead and click off now.
Don't click off. Don't give the spoiler.
No, don't jump out of the stream, but just like mute it for a second because I'm gonna give the spoiler here because F Todd Phillips and what he tried to do. If you had all liked the first Joker movie, in this one, he gets gang. I don't want to demonetize us, so I'm not going to say the word. And then murdered.
Oh,
nice. There you go. But some people are like, well, it's going to flop bigger than the Marvels, which is a notorious flop that's out there.
It's not.
It may actually do worse than the Marvels domestically, but all the other trends overseas were much, much better, and the Marvels did basically nothing over there. So it will probably still do better than that at least. But it does not look like it's working very well. People seem to actually hate it. Its cinema score is like a C-, and that
it's being reviewed by you bigots.
No, the cinema score is the people that watch the movie as they're walking out. And like a bad cinema score is like a B or a B+, and this one's getting like in the C-, C- rate. So there's something wrong with it. And he also says, why is most of Mark Waid's comic dialogue about food? Is he morbidly obese?
He's not.
He's portly.
I would say schlubby.
Would you say thick?
No, I'd just say schlubby. He's just kind of a schlubby white guy. But Mark Waid's not obese. I mean, I haven't seen him lately, but like he's always been fairly, average.
Thick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thick, but not like Kurt Busiek, who like hangs down out of his chair, like like.
Pleasingly plump, is it what you're saying?
Kurt Busiek, like he had his his name on Twitter the whole time Trump was
muffin top. One could say.
Kurt Busiek resists, and I was like, well, it ain't about carbs.
Love handles.
Alpha Red Comics says, can I shout out my Kickstarter for Alpha Red #6? It's a family-friendly, all-ages superhero comic, active now. Absolutely, you can, and you just did. So that's really awesome. So
it actually looks really good. I've been checking it out. It looks really good.
That looks good.
We got Kickstarters up right now for the graphic history of pirates, but not that kind of graphic. We got Man-Child #3. We got Alpha Red comic #6. And I think the Calico is actually over, but we got lots of projects up there. And Drew's fulfilling his project, and we got New York Comic Con, so everything's going well. Definitely, when you're over there checking out Man-Child #3, there's a link in the video description. Type in Alpha Red, see if you can find #6, and check that sumbitch out too. And then go check out the Pirate graphic novel, which is fully funded, and we're very, very happy for Savani, who was with us last week. That was awesome.
Yeah, funded in one day, which I thought it was going to be a little bit tougher because it's not strictly a comic book. So I was like, the crowd that we appeal to, I thought it was going to be a tougher road for him, but man, he knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. And even Kickstarter promoting him, so I think that definitely helps. I think he's like on the front page. So
that slaps.
Yeah. That does.
But it's like that book does slap. I have read his book, and it is quite good. It's funny. It's if you like James, if you like his work on Darkwing, if you like just kind of like a comedic take on things, it's a really good book, and it's kid friendly, which is nice.
Yep, and so is Alpha Red #6, and I believe Man-Child. Is that one kid friendly as well? Can we let kids read that one?
A part of it, the superhero stuff is, but half of the story with
there's a dark side flip book on it.
there's some. I'd say it's more PG-13.
There you go. If you got young teenagers, you'll be fine. Tevye Smoko says, why can't DC just say this John Kent is fake? I don't know. It would be the easiest story in the world. You just say This is the Earth 3 John Kent that they sent over here to infiltrate and destroy the universe. The real John Kent is still with Ultraman and being tortured.
That would
because
be great.
all he represents now, they can't do it.
Well, yes, he's the LGBTQ Superman now.
Yeah, so they
No,
can't
you would
do
have to have a leadership at DC that could weather a Twitter storm of 12 people being mad.
it. Yeah,
And there's nobody at DC who has those kind of balls. Like, you would need like someone like me to be like the editor in chief, and because I would just be like, they'd be
You
like,
should be editor in chief.
and I would just be like, I just reject your thesis. We're
All right, Sparrow, you're a mod on the channel, right?
I am, yeah.
Can you drop the links to Manchild number 3, to the Red, the Alpha Red Alpha? I'm sorry, the Alpha Red number 6, as well as the Pirates graphic novel for the Kickstarters there.
I should be able to. What kind of privileges do I have as a mod anyway?
You can
I
can drop links.
Yeah, you can drop links. I heard you
But
do that
other
in the
people
morning
can't.
too.
Yeah,
I know I
people
can
are
kick
asking for links. We can throw links into the live thing, and Aaron can take care of that because I know that he's the mod. So there we go.
I'm on
He
it.
took care of it. Thank you very much. MH hashtag Comics Invictus is Absolute DC reminding anyone of 2012's Earth 2.
Well, that Earth was on fire as well. He's got a point. They got a point. So,
yeah.
Darkseid came and Darkseid didn't come. That was Steppenwolf who came and kicked ass and killed the Trinity. The beginning of that.
That's the thing, though,
like
Dylan.
that.
It's reminding me a lot of stuff.
Yes, it's very much been there, done that for all of this. But
Yeah, that's what
all new.
I felt that the most about. I guess the biggest drawback for me for All In Special number 1 was that, like, haven't I seen this before in like Brad Meltzer's JLA number 0, like about 15 or so years ago? This is just like playing the same record over again.
Yep.
So we do have another DC book. I think this is being overshadowed by the All In Special. We did get Absolute Power number 4. Mark Waid, Dan Mora, the big event to end all events. I don't know, Amanda Waller taking all the powers away from the superheroes. And now apparently they've been defeated because the book's over. What is your final appraisal of Absolute Power as an event, Sully? Are you glad that you bought into it?
I didn't buy into it, but I did read them, and I avoided.
You read into it. Come on, that's your time.
I read 1, 2, 3, and 4. I avoided Task Force 7, all 7 issues of that. I avoided Absolute Origins. I didn't care. I mean, I'm a little evented out after, like, Dark Crisis, after, Night Terrors, after, Gotham War. There's just so many events to care about, and but as a comic book, as a story, it lands. You get Ollie's redemption. He was, the only one that could cover for him was John Jones, and he was captured. You have Dreamer. We were just talking about Dreamer's role in this, who gets reconstituted from John Kent's, mind and dream space.
Well, I didn't say spoil the whole thing. Was it good?
It was decent.
What's your appraisal? Was it worth its time? Was it a worthy DC event to set up this new era of DC Comics?
Yeah, it had to happen because this is your explanation for closing off Earth Prime from the multiverse. So there you go. There's your story written for that. That just sets up the special, because you had to have read Absolute Power 4 to, it's one of those editorial boxes that has an asterisk.
I didn't read any of Absolute Power other than the Green Lantern, Superman, and Batman tie-ins.
Right.
And I don't feel like I missed a thing.
You didn't really, no.
You know what's weird? Because I know in Absolute Power, their powers are weird. Some people got their powers switched. Some people lost their powers. Some people got new powers, not even alluded to in All In, even though that's one of the big status quo changes.
That's going to be, that's going to be the new thing, a jumping off point for, like, hey, Lois has powers. Hey,
Barry Allen does it.
I guess Fire and Ice have switched their powers, and they're probably going to end up being girlfriends any second now. Just a Plastic Man is looking like he's fading away, or he's got invisibility. So that's lost on me too. That's kind of like, who cares? You're just going to revert to form sooner or later. Yeah.
Really? What was your appraisal, Nandor? I know you went and read it. I'm sorry I didn't read it myself. I feel terrible.
Yeah, no, I'd say I kind of read it. I flipped through it, and I really enjoyed the scene with I always enjoy when Barry and Hal team up together and are, working together. And I really liked that moment in the book. I thought that was very in character, and it was probably the best thing about the book.
I agree.
And
brave and
so
bold moments, like go back,
yeah,
to like the JLA year 1 with Barry Kitson. I mean, that was
right.
way too. Way back.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. As a whole with Absolute Power, like conceptually, I like the idea of the character's powers getting taken away, but I've never found Amanda Waller to be a threat. I just don't know why, she's this big bad. I think she works better as a supporting character, and I think you're right, Wes, in that I think it was a mistake to release Absolute Power #4 and All In #1 in the same week. Because why would you? I don't know. Like if it was me, I would. They kept pushing Absolute Power is going to lead into All In, so you would want to get that series and then get into All In, but instead it kind of feels like they kind of just wanted to get it over with, get it done, and we'll move on to the next thing. And it doesn't seem like they really cared about that event. It doesn't. Again, the consequences, somewhat resonate. And if you like Dan Mora's art, there you go. Like it's some good stuff. But other than that, it wasn't a good event. So,
do you regret reading the last issue there, Dylan?
I regret reading the whole thing, but I did like fully. I didn't spend a single penny on it, but I read all of it, and it was bad. Dan Mora's art is incredible throughout. That's the only highlight, but the writing of it it's very much. If you care about it at all, you can read the first issue and the last issue, and you'll miss nothing. Nothing happens in between, and from the get-go, you know how it's going to end. Nothing about this felt important or like I needed to read it or like it was that great. You knew exactly what was going to happen. I agree with what he's saying about Waller. Waller's not really, especially it felt weird because Failsafe, I hate Failsafe. I think Failsafe is a dumb concept. I think Failsafe is a horrible character. But Failsafe had been this like retardedly overpowered character in Batman throughout the entire time where Justice League can't take care of him. Batman can't take care of him. Then, now he's under Waller's thumb and he gets in like defeated in the final issue. And it's like, this is how you take care of Failsafe? Okay. Yeah. And Waller felt out of character also in this book with the way she was acting. It felt really weird. And just it wasn't good. There were small character moments that were good, like he was talking about with Barry and Hal was really nice, and like them lending their will to him. That part was cool, like stuff like that. But as an overall story, it was not well written or something that you need, or anything that was like, I can't wait to see what happens next. Like last time I felt like that about a big DC book was Doomsday Clock. As much as it was like forever in between issues, every time I was like, I can't wait to see what happens, and I don't know what's going to happen. To where with Absolute Power, it's like I know exactly what's going to happen, and I don't care.
I thought Green Lantern was the big standout just of Absolute Power, not because it made Absolute Power seem good, but because he was able to keep his Green Lantern story going.
Yes. And keep it fun with Hal losing his ring and running around half naked and trying to grab all the different weapons. Yeah, that was fun.
Scared the crap out of Kid Flash. That was great.
That was great. Yeah. And then the other part of his heroism is his ability to fly a fighter jet.
Yeah,
that steals Batman's blade. It was great. I'm sorry, I interrupted you there, Nader.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I think the thing about Absolute Power too is that when you have a series like this and you're trying to lead into something else, it seemed like the cliffhanger at the end was just, we have a new watchtower. It's like, wow, like that's what we led to. We need more people. Like, I guess with the All In special, it's like we need more Justice League members. We need more people in the Justice League so that nothing like this ever happens again. It's like, just becoming a League member doesn't mean this won't ever happen again.
Sounds like the Patriot Act all over again. I'm not for it at all anymore. Now that you explain it to me like that,
yeah, I think it's like, we'll be there for each other better now because we have these ID cards. It isn't the DC universe,
and they've been assigned other heroes to help them.
Yeah, like if I was Booster Gold, I'd be a little upset. I'd be like, man, I'm in the Gamma tier. Like, really? Like this is how you tier me. But
Ambush Bug's a beta. What does that mean?
What do you think about like poor Black Lightning being like, oh, you're our outreach guy?
Oh gosh,
the welcoming committee. You've got a
like,
budget for decorations. When
Yeah,
they show up.
hey,
Welcome.
Mr. Terrific, you're going to be our social media manager.
Right,
The question is, our Mr. Worf, you know.
The only exciting thing from, at least for me, from Absolute Power from the beginning that they never capitalized on was like everyone lost their powers. Who's going to be the one to step up? And Mark Waid, he's like, you're never going to guess. It's like Nightwing was the leader, and Airwave got a shout out.
Yeah.
I was like, who are they
Who's
gonna?
that?
Like,
That
there's
was
so many different
interesting.
characters that could be cool.
Should have been Firestorm.
No one stepped up. There wasn't anything
Firestorm,
that was
yeah,
like you didn't
exactly.
expect.
Yeah.
It's crazy, Quilts. Time to shine.
It was Airwave's time to shine because they actually adapted his power from the golden age, being radio waves, to being something quite pertinent. Wi-Fi.
I remember,
and it's
like I
okay,
thought
that worked.
Grifter was gonna do something. I thought,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, I thought we were gonna get some Grifter, but no.
There were no Wildstorm characters in that room. You're right.
Can you imagine how embarrassing it's going to be if Justice League Unlimited is not the #1 DC comic, like for months? Like, just it will, with Dan Mora art, if that thing can't get to #1 and sustain it, I think that it's just really an illustration of how badly Mark Waid has burned his bridges with comic readers.
Well, and how uninteresting it is to have 95 members of the Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead
I
of
mean,
just
you can
5
do it if
members.
you do like you do like the cartoon Justice League
Yeah.
Unlimited, where each episode like focused on one case with a couple of members that you
Yeah.
threw together and you know like had them bounce off of each other.
Oh,
It
that's
can
going to
work,
happen.
but- yeah, but if
This
you,
is
I mean, it
Mr.
has
Terrific's
to.
time to shine. We got
Yeah. It's gonna be all the characters that you don't want to read.
Wade already did that. Wade did that with George Perez in his Brave and the Bold revamp, years ago. That was a good book.
It was.
I
It was.
I did like Green Arrow's characterization throughout all this since he came back after he died in Justice League, saying it's so stupid that we disbanded the Justice League. This makes no
100%.
sense.
No one ever
The
explained.
Titans shouldn't be doing this. I like that he was like the one person that had common sense. Like, this is so dumb. What do you mean
Yeah.
you guys disbanded the Justice League?
Well, you know what's
So what
really
if-
like kind of depressing is the fact that, and I think I can't remember who it was that said in the chat, but I thought it was a good point. Is the fact that the Titans just became league level and now everybody is. Like,
Yeah.
what a slap in the face to the Titans.
Well, that's what I was
Yes.
thinking when like Damian got a card. I was like, remember it was a big deal that Dick Grayson got to be a part of the Justice League, and now it's like Damian just gets a card and he's like pissed about it. He's like, oh, it's so dumb.
Doesn't even appreciate it.
That's so Damien.
Dylan, what did you think about the fallout with Green Arrow? Because he did turn on the team. He was helping Waller out. And now Waller doesn't remember any of the hero identities, but she only remembers Green Arrow, so she can still leverage him, I guess. But the Justice League kind of forgave him.
I felt that part felt weird because the Justice League was completely incompetent and Green Arrow was the only one who did anything. So it felt really dumb when Diana was like, I want to break all of your limbs. It's like, you guys didn't do nothing. Green Arrow was the only one who did anything. And like he said, the league wasn't there, so he couldn't communicate with you. It's like, I was more
Didn't
on
have
Green
your
Arrow's
cards
side
with
during all
you.
that.
What was I
Yeah,
supposed to do?
yeah, exactly. They're blessed cards. But I was on Green Arrow's side during that. He was the only one that actually like did something. Everyone else is kind of like, oh no, what do we do? But
Yeah, Green Arrow.
that whole them chastising him thing was kind of dumb. Especially like he even pointed out, he's like, this is rich coming from Batman to be saying anything about this.
I hope that we don't see Amanda Waller for a while. I was
I
definitely
agree.
wallered out.
Same,
Like
same.
for like 3 years, she was like, if she wasn't the focal point of the event, at the end of it, you found out she was the mastermind behind it. I
Yep.
hated it.
Yeah, it's dumb. DC has this weird boner for the Suicide Squad. They keep trying to make them like a big thing. The Suicide Squad's not meant to be like in the front. They're not meant to be the
They're the
focus.
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, they're not. They're supposed to be like this D-list. Like, it's not supposed to be this big thing, but they keep trying to make Suicide Squad happen.
Yeah, it's supposed to be quiet. Like even in the JLU pitch that I did with Castellani, when we tried to do like another season of the show, but in comic book form, we have the Suicide Squad in like the second issue, which is the thing that we showed pages off of, that we, because you're kind of like, yeah, there's like a first issue that's set up, but let's do something that's kind of fun for the pitch. And we used the Suicide Squad, but it was just going to be a one-off to set everything up. It wasn't going to be a Suicide Squad focused book. Like, and I don't know why they keep trying to do that. I mean, I understand corporate synergy, and we did this game that's all focused on the Suicide Squad, and they keep thinking that Harley Quinn is wildly popular amongst the regular populace. Harley Quinn is was popular amongst all Batman fans, and then they turned her into what she is now. So now she's popular amongst a very small niche of comic book readers.
Well, there's 5 of her, and she appeals to one little small sliver of 5 different groups that all hate each other because they think their version is the real version.
Right, but they keep trying to make her happen in the films, and she's not a draw. Margot Robbie's not a draw at the box office, and neither is.
Well, Barbie says different.
Well, Barbie is the draw, and Margot Robbie was a good choice for that. But like when she goes and she does her Pirates movie, is that gonna be successful because Margot Robbie's in it? No, of course.
Are you saying Gosling?
Only if Axel Braun does it.
Pull her to $1 billion?
No, I'm saying that the Barbie license. I'm saying that
I was hoping you would.
Those fans were. I mean, look, I wish, because Fall Guy was great. I wish that Ryan Gosling, had pulled in all those people. You'll like it, Wes. It's a little too long, but it's fun.
Every movie's too long these days.
It really is, except for Wild Robot, which was just the right length.
You know what I watched recently? I'd never seen it. No one had told me to ever watch it, but I finally watched it. I watched Extraction and Extraction 2, and fuck me, were those good.
No,
I haven't seen Extraction 2 yet, but I really liked the first one.
Go watch the second one. It's just as good.
Hemsworth.
Like, why didn't they put this in theaters? This is what Hemsworth should have done, $800 million on.
Yeah, he definitely. And I think it would have done really well. That's the weird thing is you put these things on Netflix, and
John Wick with stud.
Netflix needs to kind of get over its inferiority complex a little bit and put some stuff in theaters.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's hear for the peoples that we've wrapped up all this DC stuff. Dion says, spoiler for Jonkler 2. The guards are Tom King, Mark Waid, and Morrison, and Jonkel all over Arthur and their tic-tac penises and singing lithium.
I don't know what any of that means, but it's delightful.
I got to see the Jonkler 2. I mean, Dion's kind of sold me on it, Very nice. Sally Akube. The downfall of Tim Drake between Rebirth, even New 52, and now needs to be studied. Short rise in Rebirth and just epic fall afterwards.
Well, you handed the character to a fan fiction shipper.
Before that, they didn't do anything with him because Damian came along and he was obsolete.
Damian kind of sidelined him.
Yeah, they never really had an idea. They never really had an idea for him, when he goes off on his own and I know they tried to do the Red Robin thing, but it never really stuck.
Yeah.
I think you could have done the Red Robin thing, kept him with the wings that he had, in the New 52. I kind of like
cool.
the Vulture
I think
wings.
so. Yeah, they should have kept with that. I like the Red Robin, Tim Drake vibe.
The only person ever tried to do anything recently good with the character was James Tynion, but that story went on way too long and it kind of fell off there. You know what I'm saying, Dylan? When you read James Tynion, he just never stops.
No, he doesn't. He also introduces infinite new characters every time. He's got to get his in.
Yeah, because he's smart like that. He knows that one of these are going to catch, and you're going to be like our boy Ethan, who gets a nice big check a couple of times a year from Warner Brothers. That's the golden ring.
This is why DC. This is one of the reasons DC should be doing better than Marvel, is because you actually have incentives for creators to go over there and create things. At Disney Marvel, there's none. There's no, just make another version of Deadpool, because who cares? You're not going to make any money on this anyway. Make another version of Spider-Man. Who cares? Don't give them any good creation that Disney's going to turn into a multi-million-dollar character at some point, when they get their head out of their ass, because you're not going to get anything for it. You better to keep those ideas for yourself. At DC, at least, there's a more robust creator, participation where, you can get a big fat check every couple of years if they use them in a movie or, they make action figures of them.
But by the time Megan Fitzmartin got on that Tim Drake Robin book, the character had already been just kind of sidelined to such a degree everyone forgot about him.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference, though, between sidelined and destroyed. And that's what Megan Fitzmartin did to the character.
Absolutely. Mr. DC Comics, make comic book battles better. In Absolute Power 4, the final battle all took place in one book. There were no one-on-one fights that made you care to remember.
Yep, that's how I felt about All In as well with the Watchtower fight, where it's Darkseid showed up and he's got the Spectre with him, and then a second later Superman's separating them too, and it's really this is that's how easy it is to beat Darkseid.
Yeah. He's not much of a threat, huh?
You mean you take the chocolate away from the peanut butter? Oh no.
Yeah.
I do appreciate in older storytelling, even in movies and stuff, where you would introduce the main character, the main antagonist, But there'd be a guy or two to either side, and they would have traits that make you think, I want to see him fight the other guy on the other side. They look like they're both ninjas. That would be great. Then you would actually get it.
Yeah.
They pay it off.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's not that Deep Cut did really good though. Like each issue has a really cool fight. Deep Cut's done a really good job with that. But yeah, a lot
Deep
of
Cut's
these
awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. And
It's
yeah,
in
there's a
my
lot of these
top 10 books of the year, I think. It's the second best book Marvel put out besides probably that Doom special from Hickman.
I was not expecting Deep Cut to be this good, but
I liked the Madripoor Knights, but Deep Cut was way better. Shockingly better. So, Federico de la Casa says, a Walker is a villain. P. Diddy be more appropriate.
I don't know if we want him in DC Comics.
I mean, we kind of already have him in Marvel Comics already.
Away from Tim Drake.
He's a Steve Fox character, Steve Orlando character.
Oh, yeah, the Somnus Sleeper.
Yeah, Sleeper.
That guy probably measures lube by the tonnage as well.
Baby oil
by the tonnage. Whatever, man.
You know what I loved about that was like if we could just because I know you and I talked a little bit about the Diddy thing on the Patreon, Wes. We didn't talk about how funny it was that his lawyer came out and said like, well, the reason he has so much baby oil is because he has to buy it in bulk at Costco, and Costco's like, yeah, we don't sell baby oil. And then on top of it, my first question was, is that where he got the 500 dildos? Was that from Costco? Because man, I'll tell you, every time I'm in Costco and I'm just trying to get to the produce section, and you got to walk past that big pallet of palaces. It's just like, oh, what are we doing?
And you're like, what's the count on this, Chief? And then the little guy comes over and he goes, I'm sorry, we don't sell dildos by the count. We sell it by the tonnage.
We sell it by the tonnage. Yeah, you've got to buy 2 tons.
These are 288 dildos here. That's too gross. Hey,
oh man. Mr. DC Comics also says, comic book battles. I'm tired of the buildup being better than the fighter conclusion. I want to see Superman in the slug fight fest. There needs to be multiple issues of a fight against Doomsday or Lobo.
Yeah. Yeah, that
makes a lot of sense.
Series, I've noticed this, where you build up for 5 issues and it's like this big crescendo, and it's just like this weird limp dick finish because you have to have 8 issues of epilogue to go along with it to explain what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem with just the decompressed storytelling trying to fit the trade, because you're trying to hit that mark and then you have to finish it and wrap it all up in one issue, and that's where. Unless it's like a double size, or if you can add some extra pages in there, please. But that's something I've noticed too, where the buildup is more exciting than the actual event. And I mean, that has its place sometimes depending on the characters you're using. But give us some more 1-on-1, 1v1 fights. I think that would be like much more appropriate.
Absolutely. It's an enormous problem, not just at DC, but certainly as Marvel as well.
Yeah.
Or when they do have a big fight, it's just like wall-to-wall characters, and you have no idea what anyone's doing.
Yeah, like who's fighting who, right?
It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time I think they really had a good character moment, I think might have been Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was like a John Kent moment where he like stood up and fought and actually lost, but it felt kind of good. Like they did it well.
Yeah.
Before his father returned. Jose the Beast. Imagine Colonel Silverstreak Spartan kicking Amanda Waller. I'm wallowed out. You guys check out Creature Commandos #1 by David Dalsmachian. It's okay.
I almost did. I almost bought it, but I didn't.
I started to read it, and the art's actually pretty cool. And this David Dalsmachian, who I think he played the Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay.
He wrote another book last week called Knights versus Samurai that I was kind of looking forward to. But I don't think I'm a Creature Commando guy, so I only got like 8 pages into it. And I was like, I don't know. I stopped. Anybody read Creature Commandos? We got any Creature Commando fans?
No, not here.
It's okay. Sully, you on it, Sully? You got pretty low standards.
I got pretty low standards, and you know what? I can't even say it was okay. I don't. I didn't read it. Yeah, I didn't get to it.
Here we go. Sorry, we didn't check that one out, Jose to be. Sully Akabe says, what's happening with Dr. Manhattan's Spawn?
You mean from Doomsday Clock? Or
I don't think anybody's doing anything with it. I think that Doomsday Clock is now out of continuity because DC is stupid.
Yeah,
it is out of continuity.
Yeah, they kept like the Superman Energy idea.
Yeah.
They kept that, but Doomsday Clock as a whole, like they haven't mentioned anything that's happened in it. Like it's
has Jeff Johns done anything? Because I haven't been really keeping up with his JSA, but has
JSA
he
just ended?
Wrapped up JSA this week, issue 12, and it's more. It's got art by Todd Knock, so it's a misfit with the rest of the Michael Janin stuff, and I think it ends pretty flat-footed too. But if I don't want to be negative to it because it's basically a celebration of Stargirl, who was based on Jeff Johns' sister.
Yeah.
So it's got that ending of it being like, you know what I mean, in memoriam of, you know, of his sister. So
Cassie,
I'm not going to take shots at it, but you know, it wasn't great either. I'm like,
if you want to read Jeff Johns, read Ghost Machine. You've got Rook Exodus, you got Geiger, you've got Redcoat, and this week you got Hyde Street.
Yeah, Hyde Street. Oh man, recommend that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Dr. Manhattan's kind of out of sight, out of mind after they got introduced to the main universe. Carlitos Figueroa, the attempt to make Absolute Power epic seems tacky and cliche with disappointing lack of struggle or stakes, except for Green Arrow, who has more or less than anyone else.
Sure. I mean,
yeah.
Ollie was just, we all saw that coming a mile away. Why didn't Amanda Waller? I mean, of course, Ollie's in deep cover. I mean, come on. It's not even hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Everyone from the beginning knew he's going to be a double agent.
Like that.
He had to be.
Oh, boy, you're actually with the heroes? I never would have guessed.
Yeah, but that's the entire event was everyone knew exactly what's going to happen. Oh, all the heroes lose their power to start out with, and Green Arrow's like working for the bad guys. I'm sure they're not going to get their powers back and defeat Waller, and Green Arrow wasn't a double agent the whole time. What, that is the case? Wow, shocking.
That's why I like the Green Lantern book so much. Is like you've got Hal's depowered and they've taken all the weapons, and he's got Condiment King's guns. It's like, fuck it, I'm rolling with it. Just start shooting people with ketchup. That's wrong with this shit.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
That was great.
You like that? How about some mustard for you? Right in your eye. A little fun.
No, don't make me use this mustard. It's spicy.
Exactly.
Grey Poupon.
Put some relish in your ass.
See, now you're getting into Alan Scott territory.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Waka.
The absolute lack of fun in a lot of these books is another reason that it's hard to really enjoy the finale, because you don't enjoy getting there as much. It almost feels like work a lot of times.
The Condiment King, like it walks the line of fun and stops just before stupid. Like it's like, and that's the balance you have to hit, is like, you know, you can't, like Dr. Doom said, Dennis Camp stuff with Dr. Doom saying, I call it my negative zone. You know, it's like, that's stupid. That's like
stepped over the line.
Stupid. You stepped into stupid, but somehow it's still funny. But you know, with the Condiment King's guns, it's like it's funny and it just stops right before it gets ridiculously stupid.
Doom Banger, we got Jerome in the house. Shout out to the best show on the planet. We love everything you do. Keep up the work. Well, thank you, Lo. I really appreciate that, brother. We're definitely got to get Jerome back on the channel. It's probably been like 9 months. I reached out, I think 2 months ago, but he was still busy. We got to see if he's still busy. I love Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome's like one of our biggest boosters on social media, man.
Yeah, he's always one that does the little shout out after the show. Reminds everyone to watch the replay. Really
also, I can't remember the name, but shout out to the guy that goes into the videos and tells you like where each topic is.
Yeah,
the timestamps.
That's so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
That's Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you.
Definitely appreciate that. But thank you so much to everyone for supporting the channel today. And we're actually not going to be able to get into our favorite Justice League stories because we're already like 15 minutes past 2.
Oh, see, and I had the opportunity to actually like say something before Jim did.
I'm sorry. If you guys want to go really fast, we can knock them out really quick because the Justice League did come back. But I do have some chicken nuggies just staring me down right now.
Okay, real quick. I'll say Grant Morrison's relaunch of JLA and Kevin Maguire and DeMatteis on Justice League International. The one where Batman punched out Guy Gardner.
One punch.
Oh, that's great.
Joe Kelly's JLA The Obsidian Age and Busiek Perez's JLA Avengers.
Very nice, Nandor.
Yeah, so I'm always gonna go with my mainstay, my Justice League story. I always go back to that. I feel like is just the best representative of the characters, and it's kind of a greatest hits type story with all the villains as well, with like the Legion of Doom. But it's gonna be Jim Krueger and Alex Ross's Justice. That's my pick. So go with that.
Very nice. And finally, we'll go with Dylan, the voice of a generation.
I went a bit more off the beaten path and went for Brad Meltzer and Ed Ben's The Tornado's Path. I liked what they did with Red Tornado. It was really cool.
Nice. Good pick. Good pick.
Oh, you know what? Let me throw in The Nail, too, by Alan Davis.
Man. Last time I saw Red Tornado was by Mark Russell.
Oh, yeah. He's in absolute power at the end. They're like, we don't know if Red Tornado's ever going to be okay. He might be dead forever. So,
you know what's a great Red Tornado story is in that first season of Young Justice. There's some great Red Tornado stuff in there, like Red Volcano and some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Jose the Beast. Oh, you're spoiling here, Jose the Beast. I'm calling it now in Batman Commander stars Thomas Wayne Jr., half brother from Scott Snyder's Court of Owls story.
Yeah.
I do believe you're correct.
I think that's
right on the money. Did you notice that Commander Star is cloaked in nationalism?
Love it.
Literally and figuratively.
Wonderful.
Yes. Because the nationalists and their love of guns.
You guys are gonna love Colonel Silverstreak then. And kneel before Doomface, because that is a nationalistic character.
One of the things I didn't like about Batman, and I know Sully really liked this week's Batman, was
it wasn't bad.
The bringing back of Bruce Wayne's half brother. Terrible idea. Something that probably needed to be mind wiped. Memory dump.
Why does everybody always love the secret brother, secret sister trope? It's so played out.
That's another Scott Snyder thing that came back besides the Court of Owls.
Yeah. That too.
Stupid half brother thing. And Giad says Superman Legacy has a budget of $363 million.
Oh dear God!
I think it's just Superman now.
I
think they dropped the Legacy. That's a lot of money though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then comes advertising and marketing.
And then you still got reshoots.
That's got to make $1 billion to be profitable at that rate.
They're not going to sell any toys because kids don't buy toys anymore like that, right?
No, just children like me. And speaking of man children,
like us,
Nandor has man child number 3 on sale right now on Kickstarter.
Exactly.
I'm gonna redrop that link into the chat right now, everybody.
Boom! And there's a link in the video description as well. But sell us on man child number 3, and you can get issues 1 and 2 as well with the Kickstarter campaign.
Yes, so Man-Child is a story that takes 2 storylines in an alternating narrative, one taking place in the Silver Age-inspired superhero world with the Monarch Crier, who's this butterfly superhero character, and we're introducing the Sadistic Six in this 3rd issue. So we have all new 6 villains, and Jay and I, the artists for the book, we designed them all together, and they look amazing. I'm really excited to debut these new characters, but it follows him on his adventures, his superhero adventures, and it's told in a Silver Age like Stanley-esque style with we got thought balloons, we got narration, we got all that fun stuff from the Marvel Age of Comics. And then at the same time you're reading about his adventures, you're also reading about the super nerd like us. His name's Rufus Boston, and he goes to his LCS all the time. He has conversations with his friends about comics. And it's the story itself is a commentary on comic book fandom and kind of the contrast between idealistic superheroes and the real world, and looking at how they kind of inform each other. And in this issue in particular, it's called The Wednesday Warrior, and Rufus is filling in for one of the workers there at the comic book shop this week on a new comic book day, and tragedy strikes him at this comic book shop on this day. So it's a really good issue. It's my favorite issue of the series so far. And if you're kind of starving for some classic superhero storytelling, you get it. But if you're also looking for something that kind of has fun and also makes fun of what we love about superheroes, then this book is for you.
Very nice. Do you have any comic books you also want to recommend besides obviously going to the Kickstarter?
Really this week was pretty thin for me in terms of what I was picking up, but I will say I did just read Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' new graphic novel that came out recently, and that was fantastic. And I also recommend what Ed Brubaker's doing with Marcos Martin with the Friday story. With the holidays coming up, if anyone hasn't read Friday from Image, I really recommend that book.
Very nice. Jose B says, sorry for spoiling, but Chip Zdarsky is not creative now. I agree.
Oh, come on. Public domain. He's knocking it out of the park. The public domain's great.
Public domain means jack shit compared to Batman. If you can't get Batman right, it doesn't matter what you do with public domain. You're fucking up the franchise. There we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to be like that. Bad Boy West came out.
I know.
I'm about to
He's
put
like,
you on fraud work. Watch.
Come on.
I say Bad Boy West slaps. He slaps Sully right across the face.
Oh.
Dylan Lindsay says, great show. Will I be able to get TCM Press books from my LCS? If not, how do I go about finding them? This is a question for the editor.
Yes. So there's still a couple of things to be figured out, at least as far as how TCM is going to be distributed. I have to assume that we're going into comic book stores. Those are conversations that we still need to have. So right now it's going to be Kickstarter. And then, once you kind of I think the model is once you have a couple of issues in the can and you're kind of ahead of the game, then you can offer it to comic book shops so that you can keep that monthly schedule for comic book stores. So I believe they will be offered, probably with all new covers and everything. I think that's the goal. I do have to we do have to nail that down. Like Murphy, Drew, Steve, and we all have to have a conversation about how we're going to do that. But yes, I do believe they will eventually be in comic book stores. But the exclusive editions that we're doing for New York and then the Kickstarter, those will be their own thing. It's also the plan for stuff like Unholy Nightmare. Eventually, we do want to offer that to retailers and have that in shops. There will be retailer bundles for some of these things. Even Kneel Before Doomface, there'll be retailer bundles so that retailers can order the trade, and then eventually it's written so that it can be broken up. Even though you're getting more with the Doomface Kickstarter, it's written in such a way that each individual book can be broken up into single issues and then offered to comic book stores. So, we really want to help support the LCS. I think that's one thing that a lot of these indie guys have not put enough effort into is, if we want to save the comic book industry, the mainstream isn't going to do it. So we've got to be able to make our stuff, make our money on it, with the Kickstarters, so that we can continue to make new stuff, but then also offer a lifeline to the comic book stores. So I think that's the goal.
Very nice. And speaking of TCM Press, we definitely want to say thank you very much to the entire team. From Steve Finkel, owner of the Comic Mint, comes TCM Press. TCM Press will be debuting 3 series at New York Comic Con this year. Silent Knights, Femme Fatale, espionage story from Steve Finkel and Thiago da Silva, created, written by Dolan Waddick, our own Drew, art from Omar Zaldivar and Luis Zavala, edited by our own Aaron Sparrow as well. Depths of Valor World War II action epic, created by Stephen Finkel, written by Dolan Waddick, art by Nate Watson and Luis Zavala, edited by Aaron Sparrow. And then finally, Unholy Nightmare, the superhero horror story that Drew is fulfilling right here at this very moment, created by Dolan Waddick and Aurelio Mazar, written by Dolan Waddick, art by Aurelio Mazar, and edited by Aaron Sparrow. Copies will be limited to 100 total for each title. There will be limited pre-sale before New York Comic Con. The limited pre-sale begins Monday, October 7th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. If you do not get on there and get your name in the hat, you will not be able to get it if you're not at New York Comic Con. There's a link in the video description so you can get that information and how to get on that list. And we definitely appreciate everything going on with the TCM Press guys as well. And here are some extra covers. We've got the Silent Night stuff, but we've also got Depths of Valor, Unholy Nightmare there as well. And Sparrow, what's going on with Drew? Has he finally gotten everything shipped out? What's he doing in St. Louis?
I talked to him yesterday. He and Murphy were fulfilling the book, so they were shipping stuff out. I don't think they're done. I think it's going to be a whole the whole weekend for them. So they're going to be fulfilling all the books that were pre-sold. So the important thing was you don't ever want to do a Kickstarter and then have your book somewhere else before it goes out to the people that backed it. Yeah. That is the worst possible thing that you can do to the people that supported you. So, they're getting everything knocked out before we do these 100 issues at New York. So everybody should have their book in hand and get to read it and know what it's all about before we drop it at New York. So.
And they were supposed to ship out last weekend, but because of the weather and the hurricane and everything, that got pushed back. But they definitely ended up nailing it out this week. And I think that's a job well done. They've been very excited. And I bet you they can't wait to have that portion of this fulfilled and move on to New York Comic Con, where you can meet Aaron Sparrow, superstar editor himself, obviously a member of the Think Critical family. Are you recommending any books, or do you have appearances? Anything?
I am recommending some books. I'm low on appearances right now because I'm getting ready to launch Kneel Before Doomface. So like everything right now, it's like I finished off the script for Black and White Volume 3. That's over to Art, just pending any notes that he has for any changes. So that's done. That's off my plate. That was probably the most difficult thing I've ever written, just because it's the first thing I've ever written where I've had like an outline that I kind of like have to follow. I don't get to just make it up as I go, and with my own outline. So it was definitely a challenge. But that's done. So now everything's Kneel Before Doomface, and we will be launching that campaign in like my goal is to have it launched before we go to New York, so that we can have the nice little QR code there at NYCC. People can look at the prints. What's this all about? Bam! Here, go to the Kickstarter. Back the project, and we will try to offer everything that we do exclusive to any show or any comic book store or anything like that. We will try to offer a limited number to the people that are on our mailing list. So if you have not signed up yet, go over to kneelbeforedoomface@gmail.com and talk to the Lord of Desecration himself. Books I'm recommending this week. Redcoat number 6 is out. I recommend that. Recommend that you guys support Ghost Machine. It will definitely help your local LCS, and it will help an independent company that is full of talented people that are really trying to make great comics. So definitely go support that. It's also a really good read. Conan number 2, The Black Stone. That is my recommendation of the week. Mwah! The Conan stuff continues to be brilliant. Go and check that out. I have not read it yet, but I am interested in Hyde Street number 1. That one looks kind of interesting, and I've heard some good things, so I want to check that out. There's also 2 reprints out this week that I think you guys should check out. One is Secret Wars number 10. They've got a nice reprint out of it. It's got that great Doctor Doom cover where he's in the ruined armor. You should pick that up just for this Mike Zeck cover alone, because that is such a classic thing. And even though I have that original issue, I still want to get the reprint. They also reprinted X-Men 244 this week, first appearance of Jubilee. So that's a lot of fun. And then I'm, of course, going to recommend Pirates, A Graphic History by James Silvani. And I will drop that link right now. I'm going to recommend Nandor's book, Man-Child number 3. That link will also be in the description. So go check those out. And then our friend came in and just asked us to let you guys all know about Alpha Red, which if you guys have not checked it out yet, and I have not read it yet, but man, it looks gorgeous. And the character designs are spectacular. So those are my recommendations for the week.
All available on Kickstarter right now. Definitely go check that stuff out. We've also got Reb Sully.
Hello.
And you are one that would like every once in a while to support a crowdfunded comic book.
I do. Yeah. I love crowdfunding comic books because you can feel like a real patron to the arts. You literally are. You're fun. And it's like, I just seriously, guys out there, gals out there, I can't get behind this whole late books used as a cudgel to motivate the creatives who do crowdfund books. It's totally disrespecting the artistic process, which that's a creative process. It's about, and then comes producing these books, proofreading them, publishing. Then comes fulfillment. It's completely a mom and pop kind of operation, and I'm so grateful and blessed that a lot of these old school creators have gone to indie, in the indie thing. So I've got from Compass Comics. Who is Compass Comics? That's Graham Nolan, the co-creator of Bane. And let's see what we got in the box.
Sully's doing a live unboxing. What?
Doing a live unboxing. It's Return to Monster Island. And I got in here a challenge coin for an extra like $20. I love challenge coins. And I think that's great. That's a great little upsell, and it's a great memento of this. And I love Graham Nolan's art and his storytelling, and he's one of the masters, and I'm really happy with that. So yeah, here you go. We have an unboxing right here. Look, it came in the mail, and it was pretty much on time too. All right, and I only got 2 floppies this week. One was in my pull. One was on the shelf. It was a light week for my pull list this week. First, Get Fury number 6. Complete miss for me. I think it's a dud. It landed. It works as a story. It's fine if you like this stuff, but you know what? It really wasn't over the top. Like it gets over the top here and there, but I wanted more out of this, and I feel like maybe
you got to cup the balls and you got to twist them. You know what I mean?
Exactly, Garth. Come on. And what was a win this week? Mark Miller's Nemesis Rogues Gallery #3. This is fun, and it's a great send up too of the Batman and Robin story. I mean, Nemesis, puts 3 piano keys, and then up pops the hidden uniforms behind glass, and it's like, it's great stuff. It's a great turn on Batman and Robin, and I'm totally into this. Yeah, this is great, and coming out soon, Jupiter's Legacy finale. I'm into that too. That's going on my pull list. But also, you know what? King Spawn, and I really feel the Savage Dragon is hitting on all cylinders lately. Those are 3 image books. Savage Dragon is going on my pull list. I know, Aaron, it's ribald. It's over the top. The art style reminds me of like Frank Miller meets Jack Kirby.
You have a paid subscription on Pornhub, don't you? You just
not yet.
Enough.
Sully, don't support Eric Larson's degenerate fetishes.
It's you know what? I think Maxine Dragon is a grown woman. She's a mother and a wife, and she's totally cheesecake. And it's a really good satire of over sexualizing, characters, maybe even fetishizing.
Yeah, it's a satire. Yeah, that's what Eric Larson's doing, is a satire.
I think it is. I think it's ribald. I think it's fun. And I think it's over the top, and it's a complete break from seriousness. And I just found it very appealing. So yeah, Savage Dragon is going on my.
You want to break from seriousness? Read Lobo Cancellation Special. That's the best break from seriousness I've read in a long time. That thing was amazing. Did you read that book?
Oh, not yet. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm going to read it after the show.
You got to read it.
I'm going to read it. I'm
so
totally.
good.
But Wes, once again, thank you so much for having me on this show. This is the best way to spend a Saturday with friends, talking about our hobby and hanging out with the great live chat. And, this has been one of the best episodes we've been on. I like that. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun. And thanks for rolling with the punches. I know we like to bust each other's balls, but everyone's a good sport about it. We do have Drew, a.k.a. Dolan. Speaking of the man, my boys, thanks for the shout out today. Great show. Everyone needs to hop on the Monday night presale. These books will go fast. And Wes, your Missouri Tigers are blowing it.
Oh,
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Are they already losing, Nandor?
I don't know. I'll have to see what's going on.
I was in the show. I know it started, but I haven't checked. But definitely be on.
They are losing. Yeah. It's 10-0 right now. 10-0.
Dang it. But definitely be at the Comic Mint website. Like I said, there's a link in the video description. It's also in the ticker down there. We'll also have you the place that you need to go to get in there so you can be part of it and get your copies, because Drew says they're going to go fast, and I believe him. He's been doing comic book options for a long time, so really appreciate that, Drew, and to everyone at TCM Press. That's absolutely awesome. Last but not least, we do have Dylan, the voice of, are you a Zoomer?
I technically, I believe, barely make it into Gen Z, yeah.
The voice of the Zoomer generation.
I think we need to call Dylan, and we go now to our young person correspondent, Dylan.
Our young person.
What's the word out there?
That works.
Assistant Professor Zoom.
You got any books to recommend?
Yeah, I've got a few. No DC books though, but I'd say Redcoat #6 wraps up the story arc that's been going on. It's pretty good. Hyde Street #1. Ivan Reis gets to finally draw a good comic, because sadly he's been teamed up with not the greatest writers for a while, especially sad with that Bendis Superman run, but he kills it on this, and Hyde Street's really cool, and I like the idea of it. The setup of it is great. Hopefully it keeps going, but it's really good. I liked Gift Fury #6. I was disappointed that 6 pages or no art and all text. That
Thank
part
you. That's what made me mad.
Was not a big fan of that, but other than that, I did like it. And then probably my favorite book this week was Wolverine Deep Cut #4. I really enjoyed how that wrapped up. It was great.
Really good.
Yeah. 4-issue miniseries is great. Get to see some stuff that goes on.
If you missed the real Mr. Sinister, he is alive and well in that comic book. It's the real Sinister, not the weird Kieran Gillen gay Sinister.
Yeah. And of course, Claremont has a great voice for Wolverine. I love his inner monologue the whole time, where it's just killing a part of what a hero does, but
I'll do it sometimes if I have to. And when I do it well.
Yeah, I'm the best at this.
Wes, would you say that Kieran Gillen, Mr. Thinither, is the gayest Mr. Thinither that we've ever seen? Agree?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's no bones about that.
But yeah, if you missed the real Mr. Sinister, read that book. And then Dylan is also our MMA correspondent. We got a big numbered UFC event mismatch in the main event. We've got Pereira, right, defending his belt, but it's a really deep ass card.
Yeah, Wonder Boy is headlighting the prelims, so
Yes.
and that should be a fun fight because they have him going against a striker, so hopefully he doesn't get taken down instantly. So yeah, there's some fun fights on here. Definitely not a card I would pay for though. This is one you sail the high seas for, but yeah, there should be some fun fights on here.
This is the first fight in UFC history where I believe married women are both fighting.
Ooh.
Raquel Pennington and Keisha Pennington. I think they're both in fights. Not each other though.
No, actually, I feel like Nunes and her wife have fought on the same card. I think.
Oh, I messed it up then. There you go, Dylan. They're not breaking history, but you say don't pay for it. It's not worth $100.
No, it's definitely not. This isn't one of those stacked cards. Like there are some what looks like to be fun
really
fights on
deep.
here, but...
They're like name fighters all the way down to the very early prelims.
Yeah, you'll recognize pretty much a lot of these fighters, but not all of them are great matchups. Are like, oh, that's going to be a banger of a fight. But you'll know most of the people that are fighting in here. But it's nothing where it's like, oh man, I really can't wait to see how that plays out. For most of it, there are a handful of them though that look pretty cool, but not $100.
UFC got out of hand expensive, dude.
Yeah, especially at the end of this month, we have the free. That's going to be, I believe, it's on ABC Abu Dhabi card. That is stacked and really good, and you don't have to pay for that. That's where Whitaker's fighting Hamzat, assuming he doesn't get sick again. That's the card that I'm excited for.
The Bad Blood
very good
is today too, right? I'm sorry, Premium Live event. Bad Blood is today.
It is.
Oh yeah, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan.
Yeah, gonna watch me some CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Hell in a Cell and.
Very nice because you have the cock.
I do.
Very good.
I need that on a shirt. I have the cock.
I do want to say thank you very much to everybody. Really enjoyed this show. A lot of really good energy, and I think we had a great time. And we'll